Oh,
Yeah.
well, to have you here. Make sure that Scott, do you have slides?
You're good to go.
Yeah,
Live.
yep. I'm going to do some slides today, and I'm not going to do my video just because it seems like my internet's being a little slow this morning, and
Okay.
I don't want to take up bandwidth with the. Yep.
Okay. First slide, and then I'll do a little intro here.
Yep.
So,
and I'm going to be super informal and run
fabulous.
it just like this. I'm not even going to do full screen.
Cool.
I would ask you to do full screen because you got to realize people are watching this on Facebook, so it'd be helpful to make it as big as possible.
All righty, I will make that happen. La 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 la. Get all of my things out of the way.
And we are.
Yep.
It's always fun to see who's on a Mac and on a PC.
Yeah. How is that? Can you see it all?
It's the same. I think you just got to hit play up to the top there by Keynote Live and hit play. And it'll
yep. All righty.
Yeah.
Is that better?
That's perfect. Thank you.
You got it.
Okay. So lucky me, I get to introduce, there she is. I get to introduce Laura Posey. I heard about from Juliet, but as we're sharing MC duties, I said, oh goody, I'd like to do this one. So Laura Posey, who is an internationally recognized speaker, author, and consultant. She's known as the simple planning specialist for her unique ability to simply laser focus her clients to get dramatic results. I always need that kind of thing, so I'm looking forward to this. Her simple strategic plan is used by over 2,500 companies from startups to Fortune 100s. She's the author of How to Plan Your Entire Year on One Sheet of Paper and co-author with Jack Canfield of Mastering the Art of Success. She's a graduate of SUNY Buffalo and holds an MBA from Virginia Commonwealth University, fluent in German, and is currently working on her Spanish. And when is not on stage or with a client, you can find her traveling the world. It says that she snuggled rescue Mutt George in Richmond, Virginia, but now she's in Australia. So maybe snuggling with wallabies over there. So Laura Posey, take it away.
Thanks for having me. So I am a trainer from way back, and I'm a super visual person. So I brought slides because it helps me. When I'm watching something, it helps me if there are slides. And if anybody wants a copy of the deck, just shoot me an email and I'm happy to give you a copy of the deck so you don't have to take notes. There's nothing, super secret here. So I'm going to dive in because I have like a ridiculous amount of content as usual. I want to deliver as much as I possibly can in the time that we have together. So let's talk about how April 2020 looks a lot different than January 2020 did, right? I know a lot of us came into this year super excited. We're like, oh my gosh, it's 2020. How did this happen? It's the start of a new year. It's the start of a new decade. We had plans. We were all going to set the world on fire. This was going to be the year that everything was better. And yeah, welcome to April. And it looks a lot different. I think a lot of us are feeling a lot different than we did in January 2020. So we are living around here, and with all of our clients, we are living by a motto: change your tactics, not your goals. So all of our clients do a one-page strategic plan with us each year. And I'm going to show you guys today how to do as much of that as humanly possible. And, so when all of this stuff hit, we got on the phone with all of our clients and they're like, oh my gosh, I got to change my goals. We're like, no, your goals stay the same. You're still going to hit your goals. We got to figure out different ways to get there, but you're still going to hit your goals this year. So I want you to just mentally lock this in. Change your tactics, not your goals. All right. I want you to imagine that even in the midst of all of this, that you can go to work every day and be excited and motivated, that you can sit at your desk knowing exactly what you want to do and exactly what to work on today to make the biggest impact on your bank account. and that you're feeling focused and confident about your work. No matter what is going on in the outside world, no matter what has happened to your existing client base, I want you to imagine being able to do this. And I want you to be able to imagine setting and achieving those goals consistently and predictably. And that's what I wanted to work on with you today. We don't have time to workshop stuff today, but I want to give you all the pieces, parts, so that you can go and do it on your own. So I get the question, we're going to talk about planning, right? And people are like, oh, really? Planning? Like everything's chaotic now. Why do I need to plan? So here's the thing. Planning is going to make you, and I'm going to show you a little bit how to prioritize your most important tasks, because you need to eliminate all the wasted stuff. Particularly now, every minute of your time's got to be focused on things that are actually going to work, and work in the new world, not in the old world. Your plan is going to keep you focused and motivated every day. And the motivation piece is huge right now. I know a lot of people are feeling really crappy about where things are, and it's hard to get excited and motivated when you look at the news and everything is bad. The biggest thing that I love about a good plan is it's going to get rid of your worry and your fear about the future. Once you put that plan down on paper, then your whole job is just focus on getting the plan done. You don't have to get up every day and guess. And ultimately, your plan is going to help you create the consistent business of your dreams. Now, I've been doing this for over 15 years, and I can tell you 3 things that I've figured out. One is that planning doesn't have to be hard. Oops, lost my clicker there. You can do your whole plan in a few hours every year. Our clients, the first year they go through a 1-page planning process. It takes about 3 or 4 hours just because they're learning the process. And then it takes about 30 minutes every quarter. Once you understand how to do the planning, your planning honestly takes about an hour at the end of the year for the beginning of the next year, and still about 20 or 30 minutes a quarter. That's all you need. And here's the thing, if you've got the right plan, your biggest goals and dreams are going to happen so much faster and easier than you ever imagined. And I have used this plan. I've used it personally for about 15 years. I've used it with clients through every conceivable issue. Like, this is not my first rodeo. This pandemic is my 3rd big major event. The first one was 9/11 happened 6 months after I started my business, and every piece of business I had in that 6 months dried up and disappeared. I've been through 2008 and the financial crisis. I went through the death of a partner where I pretty much stopped working for a year to take care of her. And then I didn't work for another 4 or 5 months. But because I had that plan in place, my team was able to continually just to run everything while I was off. I'm telling you, the planning just takes the load off of everything. And one of the things that I've discovered over all this time, I've been in business now 19 years, and I've discovered that there are 2 kinds of business owners, and I've seen this over and over and over and over and over again. And the first kind I've seen is what we call the guesser. And you guys know the guesser, right? That's the person gets up every day and is like, oh, what am I going to do today? How am I going to grow my business? What new cool thing is out there? Oh, chatbots. I should learn about chatbots because that's going to help me grow. Or, oh, I should do this or I should do that. I'm going to take every online course I've ever seen. And they're winging it. And this honestly is kind of what their growth path looks like. The other kind of business owner that we see is what we call the knower. And the knower is the person that's got a plan. They know where they want to go, and they've mapped out for this next year how they're going to get there. And no matter what comes along, they're committed to achieving those goals, and they find ways to get there. So I just want to share with you what happens with knowers. So this is just in the last 7 days. I just did this slide this morning. And these are real life clients who started out in January 2020 with a really solid plan for how they wanted to get things done. And in the last 7 days, they have pivoted and created essentially new businesses and updated the tactics in their plans, and they are all still on track for hitting their 2020 goals. So Virginia does in-person consulting. Now, 2 things to understand about Virginia's business is that she works in sustainability, environmental sustainability, and 100% of her clients are in Italy. So when COVID-19 hit Italy, her business stopped, zero, everything out. Now she's got 2 small kids. So in the last 7 days, she has pivoted her business around. She's taken her old clients, put them into an online mastermind. She's had 10 new clients in the last 7 days, and she's humming along. Carol owned an office supplies business. Well, guess what? Everybody's working from home. There's no offices to send supplies to. So her business dried up. And her business is pretty big. She's 2-3 million. So she was like, okay, what else can I deliver? What do people need? So she started sourcing PPE and has figured out where to get that, and now has a whole bunch of new healthcare clients that she's going to also then be delivering office supplies to when the world comes back online. And then Stephanie has an employees communications company, and she's been doing lots of soft skills training, and her clients were like, crap, we don't need that right now. So her business all dried up, and she said, you know what? I'm actually pretty good at this working remotely thing. I'm going to develop some new courses around working from home. So she went out to her existing clients and says, hey, you want to do this training on work from home strategies? And she's gotten 3 new client gigs in the last 7 days. So I tell you all of this to say that you can pivot, you can change, you can take your plan and update the tactics, but still keep the goals and continue to hit the goals that you wanted to for this year. So I want to share with you sort of what I think of as the easy way to become a knower. And we're going to do 3 secrets. We're going to talk about how you can't achieve your goals by breaking them into smaller bites, and that you need to ask 3 questions instead, and what those 3 questions are. I'm going to show you 5 simple steps to build your dream business. And assuming that we have time and I talk fast enough, I'm going to show you how your brain is wired to mess you up and how you can fix it. Entrepreneurs are a whacked out breed psychologically, but I'm going to show you how to make it actually work for you. So let's dive in. Let's talk about how you can't achieve your goals by breaking them into smaller bites. Knowing what you want and getting there all starts with your planning. All starts with knowing what you want to achieve, which are your goals, and then putting a system in place to ensure that you achieve it. And that's the planning piece. So here's what happens with most business owners. We've been taught so many wrong things about how goals actually work. So as a result, a lot of us set goals and then we end up missing them. I'm going to pop over here and I'm going to pull up the chat window. So if any of this stuff rings true to you as I'm going through here, drop me a little note in the chat window and go, oh yeah, I know all about that missing goals stuff. So tell me if this sounds familiar to you. You start out the year with big, huge goals. 2020, I'm going to crush it. I'm going to double my business. I'm going to do all these amazing things. And you're stoked, man, because this is your year. So you do what you've been taught to do. You take your big goal and you divide it by 50 weeks, assuming you're going to take a couple weeks of vacation. So you get your weekly goal, right? Now you know, what do I have to achieve every single week to be on target? And then you like, oh man, I got to double my business. Okay, so I'm going to work harder. I'm going to send more emails. I'm going to spend more time on LinkedIn. I'm going to start a Facebook group. I'm going to get those chat bots going, right? I'm going to do all these things. And then guess what? Something happens, right? Something gets in the way. Something like, I don't know, maybe a global pandemic, right? But something happens. It could just be your kid gets sick and has to stay home from school, or the car breaks down, or your internet goes down. There's lots of stuff that can happen, right? But when something gets in the way, you get behind on your goals, right? You don't achieve that weekly goal. Maybe you miss it for a couple of weeks in a row. So you do the only thing that you can do, the only rational thing that human beings can do. You lower your goals, right? So instead of doubling your business, you're like, well, maybe I'll grow by 50% this year. Well, guess what? Then something else gets in the way. And you know what? When we come out of this pandemic and people are back to work, something else is going to happen. And so guess what? You end up lowering your goals again. And so by the time the year ends, you've lowered your goals practically to barely above last year, and you end up feeling like a failure. And you end up not making much more money than you did last year. So this is kind of what it looks like in a graph form, right? So you've got this potential. You've got this number that you really, really want to hit. But at the end of the year, you end up just growing a little bit. And so in between this potential and this actual is all this lost money. Now, here's the thing about that potential. I know you have it because you know you have it. You wouldn't set those big goals if there wasn't some voice inside you that said, you know what, I can do this. I can double my business. I can triple my business. I can serve more people. I can change the world in a bigger way. And so what I want to do is show you the questions that we have to ask to change this planning model and pick up that lost money in between. So here's the deal. The problem isn't you. The problem is that you've been taught the wrong way to achieve your goals. That breaking stuff down into little pieces does not work. Because here's the thing, when you just take a big number and you chop it into smaller numbers, it doesn't address the why you want to achieve those big goals. And if you don't have a clear, strong driving why, your brain will give up on those big goals because it doesn't have any motivation to work harder. There's no why that's driving it, right? You know, Simon Sinek's book, Start With Why, is all about motivation. And so the other piece that comes into play is that breaking goals into smaller pieces doesn't address how you're going to hit those new goals, right? It's like, oh, okay, well, I'm just going to make up some numbers here. I'm going to make $200,000 this year. So if I chunk that down, and I made 100 last year, so instead of $2,000 a week, I got to make $4,000 a week. Well, there's nothing in that $4,000 a week goal that says how I'm going to go from 2 to 4,000. It's just the number changed. And so here's what happens. As a result, your brain gets confused and overwhelmed because it doesn't know. You haven't told it what to do. You haven't given it any steps. You haven't given it any how. And what happens when your brain gets confused and overwhelmed is that it shuts down and it reverts back to what it knows, which is last year's work habits. It goes back to, what have I done in the past that has worked, that can make me feel successful, that can give me a little hit of dopamine. And that is all it does. And guess what? If it doesn't find anything in the work world that makes it feel good, that makes it feel less confused and less overwhelmed, guess what it does? It goes to places like Facebook, right? It gets you distracted. It makes you procrastinate. It makes you go off and do all sorts of things that aren't work related. And so we've got to figure out how to fix this, right? We've got to find a why because we need the motivation, and we got to find a how so that we can get rid of the overwhelm and the confusion. And so when we address the why and how, we can make those big goals happen, and we can tap into the stuff that's already built into your brain. So here's the right way to do planning. It's not breaking things down into little teeny pieces. It's starting with that vision. What is it that you really want to create? What is your biggest, baddest, most beautiful picture in your mind of the life that you want to lead and the business that can get you there? That's your driving why, right? This why am I building something? Then from there, we can take that, and your vision is usually something that's maybe 5 or 10 years out. From there, we can start shortening the time frame, right? So we can say, okay, well, if I'm going to be at this place in 5 years, where do I want to be in 3 years? And then ultimately, where do I want to be in 1 year? And you notice we use 3-year targets and 1-year goals. So the difference here between targets and goals is a target is 3 years out. It's something that we're aiming for. But because it's 3 years out, I mean, it's really hard to plant a flag and make a commitment for where I'm going to be in 3 years, because a lot can change, as we've seen in the last month, right? But 1-year goals, for us, a goal is a commitment, right? When I set a goal, it's like, this is what I'm going to achieve. Now, we have our vision, we have our 3-year targets, we have our 1-year goals, and we do not break things into smaller pieces than 1-year goals. Instead, what we do is we ask 3 questions. And the first question is, what do I have to change in the next year to achieve my goals? Now, for those of you that already have your goals set for this year, you may, and we're already in April, you may not say, what do I need to change in the next year? But what do I need to change in the next 6 months to achieve my goals? And then once we understand what we need to change, because there's lots of things you could change. Maybe you need to change the products that you're offering. Maybe you need to change the market that you're working with. Maybe you need to change from in-person to virtual. Maybe what you need to change is you need to actually add some staff. Maybe you need to add some people whose time you can sell. But once we know what that change is, then we can take that change and break it down into projects and to ask ourselves what projects have to be completed to complete the change, right? So if one of my changes is I need to add a new product, or let's say I'm going to go from in-person to virtual. So now that I know what I need to change, I can say, okay, what are the projects that have to be completed there, right? Maybe I need to take my live training and convert it into an online course. So I need to create an online course version of my live training. That could be a project. Maybe I need to create a sales funnel and write some emails to be able to sell my online course, right? That's a project. And the cool thing about projects is they lead us to our third question, which is what tasks have to be done to complete the project, right? So if my project is to create this online course from my existing material, right? Maybe one of my tasks is I need to write an outline for the course. Maybe one of my tasks is I need to prepare the slides for the first lesson in the course. And one of my tasks then would be to record the slides. And another task would be to edit or to record the slides and then to edit the recording. And then maybe one of my tasks is to choose the online software that I'm going to use, right? And so you can see that once we know what the change is, then we can understand the project, and then we can take it down to the task level. And that's the power of simple planning, is that it connects your goals to your why, which is your vision. And then it breaks the how into easy to achieve pieces, because the how just becomes projects and tasks. And once you've got a really clear task laid down, your brain just looks at it and goes, oh, hell yeah, I can do that. And what's great about that is that when your brain sees a task that it knows that it can accomplish, you actually get a little hit of dopamine, which is a super yummy chemical that your body is completely and totally addicted to. And so when you have this task list that's a good task list, your brain actually lights up and it wants to get those things done. It's like, oh yeah, I'm going to check that off. I'm going to check that off. And I'm going to check that off. And so you're super motivated and excited to get these changes done. And when you get the changes done, your goals get accomplished. So does that make sense? Anybody have any questions or feedback or anything they want to ping me on there?
Totally makes a lot of sense. A lot of sense stuff there. Good stuff.
Awesome. Thanks. All right. So let's get into secret number 2. And I know I'm covering things kind of fast, but like I said, I'm happy to give you the slides if that'll help you. Oh, Julianne says, isn't it still breaking it down into parts? It's breaking it into the changes that are needed to create. But it's not just taking a big goal and breaking it into what essentially are smaller goals. And that's where we fall apart a lot of times is I mean, every sales training, everything I've ever been in, they're like, oh, take your annual goal and divide it into weekly goals. You know how much you have to accomplish. And it's like, well, okay, well, that's great. So I need to make $4,000 this week, but my brain is still screaming, how? So yeah, it's breaking it down into parts, but it's accomplishable parts, not just smaller pieces. So I hope that clarifies that, Julianne. All right, so let's dig into building your dream business is just 5 simple steps. So I want you to imagine for a second here that you were going to build your dream house, not your dream business, but your dream house. So what would you do? Well, you do a 5-step process. You'd start out with a picture in your mind of what you want, right? What kind of house do I want? How many bedrooms? How many bathrooms? Is it contemporary? Is it traditional? Is it 1-story? Is it 2-story? Does it have a pool? Right? You'd start with this picture of this place that you really wanted to live. And then from there, you'd work with an architect and you would draw out in detail what it is that you really want to build. So you take what's in your mind and get it on paper. And then your third step is that you take those pictures and you turn them into blueprints. And blueprints are just sort of the technical drawings, the details of what needs to be done in order to build this house. And then from the blueprints, you create what's called a punch list. And it's the list of what needs to be done, when it needs to be done, and who's going to do it. So, if we're building a house, obviously we're going to need to pour a foundation before we can put up some walls. And we're going to need some walls before we can put on a roof. And we're going to want to put all of the plumbing and the electrical in before we start drywalling this thing. And so your punch list is the nitty gritty detail of all the little things that have to be done, which one's going to be done when, and who's going to do them. Is the concrete guy going to do it? Is the electrician going to do it? Is the plumber going to do it? And when all of this is done, when this punch list is done, then it's a matter of just working through the punch list step by step. Or in the case of building a house, you usually hire people to do it for you. Like the guy that lives next door to me in Richmond just did $1 million renovation on his house. And I can tell you that because I lived next door to it for 1.5 years, the vast majority of people that set foot on that property to do that work were minimum wage or close to minimum wage workers. And they were able to work together to build $1 million house because they had this process, because they had this punch list done. So how do we take this process and use it to build your dream business? Well, we start out with step one, but we add one little piece to it. So before we start daydreaming about the kind of business you want, we want to start with a picture in your mind of what you want your ideal life to be, right? Do you want to have an office? Do you want to have people? Do you want to be a digital nomad? Like I'm super fortunate. I'm in Australia for I don't even know how long, until the airports clean up a little bit. So, I mean, I've been here 3 weeks. I'm probably going to be here at least another month. Wasn't planning on that, but you know what? Have laptop can work. So you got to figure out how much time and money freedom do you really want? How much money is it going to take to fund all the things that you want? And we actually walk through an 8-step life vision to make sure that you're looking at all of the different places that you want time and money freedom and how much you're going to need for all of that. Once you know your ideal life, then you can design the business to deliver it. So you can start daydreaming and start thinking about the picture in your mind of the kind of business that you want, right? You want to be able to picture yourself, sitting on a beach someplace, on a call with a client, or, like I have a good friend of mine who works, I'm trying to remember the pattern, but I think he works 11 weeks and then he takes 3 weeks off, and then he works 11 weeks and then he takes 3 weeks off, and then he works 11 weeks and then he takes the rest of the year off. And that's his pattern, and that, that's his life design. He's built a business that works around that. So again, we start with this picture in your mind of what you want. Then we write out in detail what it is that you really want to build. That's the vision piece. From there, we build the blueprint, which is in business speak is a strategic plan. And so in your strategic plan, what you want to build, and this is what goes on that one sheet of paper, is you want to write down that business vision that you have, right? What is it that you want to build? You want to include your core values. And your core values are sort of the boundaries or the guidelines or the commandments, if you will, for how people are going to behave in your business and how you're going to make decisions. So, for example, one of our core values is got your back. And for us, what that means is internally, like, I'm working on weird times. I'm 14 hours ahead of my team back in North America. And so we're working in opposite times. And what that means is that if there's something that I can't get to, they just say, got your back. And that means they're going to pick it up and take care of it. This morning I got up and I saw a note from my assistant. She's got some issues with her kid. No problem. I text back, got your back. And she knows it's handled. She didn't have to think about it. It's the same thing with our clients. Like we tell them all the time, I've got your back. And what that means is I'm going to do whatever it takes to get you results. So it's an example of a value that guides our decision-making and our behavior on a daily basis. Next on that page, you want to put down those 3-year targets that we looked at. We typically limit our clients to 4 targets. We've just found that any more than that, it gets to be too scattered. You don't have to have 4, you can have fewer than 4, but that seems to be about the magic number. And like I said, I've been doing this for, 15 years. And interestingly enough, that 4 number works with our startups. My largest client is a $27 billion company. And guess what? They have 4 targets as well for the whole $27 billion organization. They have 4 targets. Then their different business units have sort of sub targets within that. You're going to put down your 1-year goals. Same thing. We do 4 goals for a year, no more. You can have fewer, but absolutely no more than 4. That, again, seems to be really the magic number. Then we look at what we call metrics, and metrics are probably the easiest way to explain them are what are the things that we need in the activities that we measure on a weekly basis to make sure that we're doing the day in and day out things in our business that are going to get us to our goals. So the metrics are sort of all of the stuff that we've been doing that's really working. So it could be, the types, it could be prospecting. It could be, we need to send a certain number of emails every week, or we need to talk to a certain number of people on LinkedIn, or it could be, I'm trying to think of another good metric that's not just a sales metric, or, maybe it's we need to talk to 3 different prospects every week about speaking engagements. So those are the metrics, the things that we need to measure on a weekly basis that are activity-based, that are our day-to-day bread and butter business building activities. And then we like to add in what we call mantras, and you can have one mantra for the year. You can have a couple mantras that extend over the year. You can change them every quarter. It's kind of whatever works for you. So our mantras this year are, we're all in and willing to do whatever it takes to make every day count. So it's sort of 3 that we've tied together. But we just decided in 2020, we're all in, like whatever it takes to make this year the most successful year ever, we're committed to doing it. And it's been really super fun already. Couple challenges, of course, but it's just a blast. And then the last thing that goes on this one piece of paper are the projects. Now, the projects are all the changes, all the new stuff that you're adding to your business. And the projects are aligned with the goals. One of the things that, one of the rules that we have is no more than 4 projects per quarter. And we actually have a little project planner that we use with folks on that one sheet of paper, so that you can make sure that you're not trying to start all of your projects all at once, because that is an absolute recipe for failure. We want you to be thoughtful about your projects and really decide, okay, which ones need to get done at which time and in which order for the biggest impact, and to align them with what's going on in your year. So for example, we mapped out all of our stuff this year, and because of the things that are happening with COVID-19, and a lot of our in-person things got shifted to virtual, which actually freed up a lot of time because I'm not sitting on airplanes a lot. We ended up with more time in Q2 than we thought we were going to. So what we did was we didn't have 4 projects for Q2 laid out. So we just went ahead to Q3 and grabbed some projects from Q3 and pulled them ahead into Q2. And then there was one project in Q2 that we actually punted out to Q3 because of the timing with the virus and stuff. So this is what goes into your blueprint or your strategic plan, and it all fits on a single sheet of paper. Now, step 4 again is to create a punch list. Well, a punch list in business speak is just a task list. So what we do is what needs to be done, when does it need to be done, and who needs to do it. And so for the task list, we only do these a quarter at a time. So we're sitting here in Q2, so we go pull Q2's project list, and we break each of those projects down into little 30-minute tasks, and we map them out on a little spreadsheet so that we can visually see which project or which tasks are getting done in which week, so that we're not overloading any one week. Who's going to do them, so we're not, and we look to make sure we're not overloading any one person. And it's an easy little spreadsheet to do that. Because remember, these projects are all things that you're not already doing. Like, you're already running a business, you're already doing some stuff. This is new stuff, this is change. And so we have to make sure that you're not being overloaded or overwhelmed with change. And then step 5 is you get it done. So you either sit down and go, okay, here's all the tasks that I got to get done this week, or you can hire people to do it for you. And what's really cool is that when you have this level of detail, and I promise you, it takes like 30 minutes a quarter. Once you've got your annual plan done, it takes like 30 minutes a quarter to get it done. Then it's so easy to hire people because you can just look at your tasks and go, oh, this is all the stuff that needs to be done, and here's all the crap that I don't want to do, right? Or all the crap that I'm not good at doing. And so you know exactly who to hire and what to have them do for you. So if you want to hire a virtual assistant or somebody just for a project, or to just go out on Fiverr and get something done, now you know exactly what to do and you can prepare for it. And so we say, it's really, at that point, it's focusing on winning the day. What are the tasks that I need to get done today to drive my business forward? And they're very clear. They come directly from this plan. Because here's the thing. Sorry, I got to take a breath and some water. If you do the right things today, you're going to win the day. And when you win the days, you win the weeks. And when you win the weeks, you win the months. Excuse me. When you win the months, you win the quarters. When you win the quarters, you win the years. And when you win the years, you win your life. And it's that simple. Sorry. Oh, man. Keep drinking some more water. So here's a quick summary. Create your life vision, then create your business vision. Draw them up in a strategic plan. Decide on your tasks, and then win the day. That's how it comes together. All right, quick check-in. How do you feel about your one-page plan? Does it feel like, oh, I could totally do that?
Heck yeah.
Right? Like, it's just not that hard, right? It's like, oh, it's just like building a house, and people build houses all the time. Julianne said, can I repeat the summary? Sure. Life vision, business vision, strategic plan, tasks, and then get it done, win the day. Excuse me. All right, so let's talk about your messed up entrepreneurial brain and how to fix it. So here's your entrepreneurial brain. It's absolutely gorgeous. The problem is that it's really good at starting a business and really crappy at running a business. And there's sort of three things that come into play. And I want to talk about each one of those three things quickly and show you how to kind of fix them. So the first thing is that your brain is opportunity seeking. Now, one thing to recognize is that opportunity seekers are only about 15% of the population. Everybody else is what we call a consequence avoider, which means that they look at things and they say, what do I have to do to just stay where I am, to just maintain? They're very risk avoidant. You, on the other hand, as an opportunity seeker, you like to chase things that look good. Anybody remember the movie Up? And this lovely dog, Doug, who is in the middle of a deep conversation and then whips his head around and goes, squirrel, right? That's what entrepreneurial brains are like. You see opportunity everywhere and you're excited and willing to chase it. We also like to call it bright, shiny object syndrome. And almost every entrepreneur I know suffers from it terribly. It's what's the new next thing that gets you excited? There's a whole psychological and chemical reason for it. We're not going to dig into that. But some of you may look at this and go, oh yeah, I got that. I got bright, shiny object syndrome really bad. Yeah, most of us do. And so the challenge is that it leads to you starting a lot of things, but not finishing them. So you probably have a lot of half-finished stuff. You get really excited, but with all these cool things like, oh, I'm going to take this online course and never finish it. Oh, I'm going to learn and not do that, right? The other thing with bright, shiny object syndrome is that it leads to confusion about what to do next because your brain is always restarting. It's always in the beginning exciting mode. And oftentimes you got 4 or 5 different things going on. Your brain, you sit down to do something, your brain is like, hey, there's so many options. I don't know what to do next. And so ultimately you end up wasting a lot of time and money by this starting and not finishing and by sitting there and constantly looking at your to-do list and going, okay, which one should I do next? Which one should I do next? Which one should I do next? All right, so that's opportunity seeking. Here's the next thing. You're very risk tolerant. Now, that's great, right? So starting a business, you need to be an opportunity seeker, right? Because you got to look at the world and go, I could build a better mousetrap. I could do that differently. I could have a better life. I could earn more money, right? And you have to be risk tolerant. You have to be willing to jump off the corporate bridge. You have to be willing to take a chance on things and to see the possibilities in a choice, right? You can always see the winning side of the hand. The problem is that because we're so risk tolerant, oftentimes we underestimate the downside of things. We're really good at seeing the possibilities and not so good at seeing the risk. So what this leads to is you take on risky projects, right? Instead of looking at something and going, okay, I can see exactly how I'm going to make money with this. You go, wow, that sounds kind of good. Yeah, chatbots. I'm going to go spend a couple $1,000s setting those up because, you know, like Facebook's a thing and people said it's good. So I'm just going to go do chatbots, right? It also leads to, and this was a big one for me, hiring the wrong people because you see the potential in everybody, right? And you're like, oh, I'll give them a chance. I'll help them. And it's like, no, you need to hire the people who can actually do the job, not the people that just have potential. You can't fall in love with people's potential. You have to fall in love with their reality. And then again, this leads to tons of wasted time and money because here you are, you're starting a lot of things and you're not finishing them. And a lot of the stuff that you start isn't proven. It's risky. A lot of the people that you're bringing on to do stuff aren't people that you know can do the work. So we're back to wasting time and money. And then the last thing is what we call loner syndrome, right? You started this business because you wanted something different. You wanted something bigger, you wanted something better, and you wanted to be on your own path. A lot of entrepreneurs don't do so good at working for other people. Right? I've been doing this for 19 years. I am completely unemployable. I could not go back and get a job and go to work every day and sit in a box for any amount of money, right? So, and you probably are like that too, right? You're on your own path. And you want to create something unique that's a reflection of you. The problem is that most of the people that you know aren't entrepreneurs and they don't understand. You might even have some of them living in your house and sharing your bed, right? Non-entrepreneurs just don't get it. They're like, why don't you go get a job? Why are you taking all this risk? That seems so scary. And so the problem is you're probably hanging out with a lot of people that don't get you. And so you end up feeling isolated. And particularly now where everybody's working from home, whether you want to or not, that isolation is increasing. And so when you start to feel isolated and you start to feel misunderstood, a lot of times you start to feel like, you know, should I really be doing this? You start to feel a lack of motivation. And then sometimes you end up questioning your judgment. Like, really, am I cut out for this? Can I do this? Right? Am I just, maybe I'm missing something. Maybe because it isn't successful right now, maybe I'm broken in some way. And here's the thing. Planning will fix absolutely all of those issues. It'll fix your opportunity seeking, it will fix your risk tolerance, and it will fix your loner syndrome. Because when you put a plan in place, it separates the important from the unimportant. So you end up with priorities. So that confusion that happens disappears. Planning forces you to write down steps to follow so that you're making progress. And if you're making progress every day, the motivation just happens. It'll get rid of your bright, shiny object syndrome because it's going to make you focus, right? When you're forced to put those priorities down and you're forced to lay out the steps, you have an amazing focus. And I'll tell you, when you have to put it on a single sheet of paper, it will really force you to choose between the really good stuff and the kind of okay stuff. So what ends up happening is you end up being confident, you end up being motivated, and it keeps you on track every day. And ultimately, you're getting results from your work every single day. And that's the stuff that's so cool, because it doesn't matter how off track you are, how out of sorts you are, having that simple strategic plan can get you focused and moving forward and achieving your goals and dreams. So, quick recap. We talked about how breaking down your goals doesn't work. You need to ask your 3 questions. What do I have to change in my business to achieve my goals? What projects have to get done to create the change? And what tasks have to get done to complete the projects? Then we talked about building your dream business is 5 steps. Create your life vision, create your business vision, draw up your strategic plan, decide on your tasks, and then get to doing it and win the day. And then finally, we talked about how your brain is messing you up, that the things that got you started in business are holding you back. Your opportunity seeking, your risk tolerance, and your loner syndrome are hurting your business, but having a simple plan will cure all of that. So I like to think that you came here today for a reason. There was something that brought you here that said, I need something different. I need to change. I need to see the world in a different way. And so you've got to make a choice. And do you want to continue to be the guesser? Do you want to follow this path, or do you want to move into being a knower? And your old habits, the things that got you here, are not going to get you where you want to go. They're going to keep you from achieving your potential. And so I'm going to ask you if you are willing to commit to a new way of doing things, and that's doing things with a plan. And if you are, if you're willing to commit, I'm here to help you. I want to invite you to join our Simple Strategic Plan. It's an online course, but you can have it done in under 3 hours. I hate courses that are 40 hours long, because I can't complete them, and I don't think anybody else can either. So this will take you a little under 3 hours, and your plan will be absolutely, fully, completely done. This is a link. I guess Scott will put it in the chat window for us. It's our website, simplesuccessplans.com/strategic. And all the details are in there. There's lots of bonuses and all kinds of cool stuff. This is all the stuff that we walk you through. So you go through the 8-step life vision plan, the 6-step business vision plan, your 5 perfect core values, your 3-year targets and 1-year goals, your metrics, your mantras, and your quarterly project plan. It's all designed in there. It's all laid out. So you do it step by step. There's workbooks and templates and all that good stuff in there. And ultimately you get down to a daily task plan, because I want you to get to a place where you're using a daily success checklist to stay on track. We'll talk about your dominant learning styles and how to overcome your obstacles, so that you get focused, you get clear, and you get confident. This is what the plan looks like when it's all done. This is what the daily success checklist looks like when it's completed. And it's my favorite tool on the planet, because it does create focus, it creates confidence, and it creates daily success. It's a tool I've been using for years. I use it with every single one of my clients, and it just flat out gets results. So my commitment to you is that if you sign up, I'll give you 100. I've got your back. I will make sure that you get it completed. I want to see a picture of you with your plan. And we do whatever it takes. We have automated follow-up to poke you if you forget. I will email you personally. And if it comes to it, I will pick up the phone and call you and go, hey man, what's your deal? Why aren't you finishing your plan? All right, let's just get it knocked out right now. I'm just sitting here and wait while you do it. We absolutely guarantee 100% completion. So I left a minute and a half, not 30 seconds for questions. How about that? Sorry, there's a lot of content today. What can I help you with?
You got 10 minutes, actually, I think, if I'm correct.
Oh, sweet. I don't
know.
know. I've lost track of time. I don't even know what time zone I'm in anymore.
You're good. Yeah, you got 10 more minutes, actually, 10 more minutes for questions from people out there, everybody. So
awesome. This is what happens when you let me have 3 hours of sleep.
I do the same thing.
Yes. So what can I help you with? Questions I can answer to help you move forward with any and all of the planning stuff. I can go back to any of the slides. What do you need?
So I'll throw something out there, kind of prime the pump. When people have different projects they want to accomplish, what's the best way for people to rank those projects for completion or success, Laura, that you see from your successful students?
Yeah, so there's 2 things to think about with projects, right? So there's projects that are closest to cash, and then there are projects which are going to make the biggest impact. And so I like to look at those 2 things and give each one of them a weight between 1 and 5. And I like to, and you sort of have to look at your current situation. So if cash now is a huge concern, you want to give more weight to the closest to cash projects. You're going to move them up the stack. If your current cash is good, then you're going to want to put your bigger impact projects in there first, because a lot of times the bigger impact projects take a little bit longer, right? They're often bigger. They've got more tasks. Sometimes they take more people. So if your cash position is okay, I would put the bigger impact projects first.
Awesome. Heather asked a question.
Yeah.
Heather, Elizabeth first said, Laura, this was amazing. Heather says, I'd love to hear your normal reply to those who say, I've tried so many ways to get projects done efficiently and daily agendas that work and haven't found it yet.
Yep.
How can yours break the spell?
Yeah. So here's the secret, the magic, right? So the reason that projects don't get done is because people don't make the tasks small enough and clear enough. I wrote an article about this called the procrastination matrix, the procrastination cure. And we have a tool called the procrastination matrix. If you just Google it, it's on our blog, you can find it. Because I don't have the link handy, sorry. And so here's what happens when your brain looks at a task. It thinks a couple of things. It either looks at the task and goes, oh, hell yeah, I can get that done, right? And if it has that feeling, a little shot of dopamine gets released into your bloodstream. And dopamine is that yummy chemical that you get when something is new and exciting or when something gets completed. And so your brain looks at it and goes, yeah, that looks like fun. I'm going to get that done. And then I'm going to check it off and I'm going to feel great. So it dives in and starts doing it. But the vast majority of tasks that people write down are way too vague and way too long. So if your brain looks at it and the task says, research online course software, your brain goes, I don't really know how to do that. Like, I don't know where to start. I don't know what my next immediate step is. And so it goes, well, I don't want to do that. What else do I have? And it'll sort through your whole task list until it either finds something small and stupid that it can get done, or it'll go, yeah, I don't have time for any of this today. Oh, hello, Facebook. How are you? Right? And so what you have to do is you have to take that task and make it something that's super small and totally doable. So the first step might be so instead of research online course software, right? The first step might be decide on a monthly budget for online course software. And so your brain looks at that and goes, oh shit, man, I can do that in 5 minutes. $97, done, win, dopamine, I'm happy. And then the next, another step might be Google, in quotes, online course software. And then the next task might be write down the 3 top results. And it sounds stupid, right? Like, really, I got to break it down that small? Oh, hell yeah. For your brain to really want to do it, it's got to be small. So our rules for tasks are they always have to start with a verb and a clear verb. Research is not a verb. Google is a verb, right? Your brain has to get a picture of what you want it to do. And it can picture Googling. It cannot picture researching. The second thing is that tasks have to be completed in under 30 minutes. Your brain has to be able to look at it and think, oh yeah, I've got time to do that now. And most people have 30 minutes to get something done. And so, and we've got there's a whole module on tasks and how to do tasks right. But if you remember those 2 things, has to start with a verb, has to be completed in under 30 minutes. You'll find that when you have a task list full of that stuff, and that when those tasks are all attached to that big why, like your brain understands, I'm Googling this online software because I'm going to create this course and I'm going to sell a bunch of stuff and I'm going to be able to sit on the beach in Bali while money comes rolling into my account. And so it's in understanding that psychology that is what gets it done. Most people come at it the wrong way. They come at it from a tools standpoint. I don't give a crap what tool you use, right? Like, use Asana, use Trello, use Basecamp, use Google Sheets, use a piece of paper, use index cards. None of that matters when you have the psychology down.
So basically,
Yep.
the mind can absorb what the ass can withstand in 30 minutes, right?
Exactly. Yeah, but it's honestly, it's all about neurochemicals. It's all about dopamine. We are all dopamine junkies. We are addicts. I mean, and it's bad and it's getting worse. So you can either go, oh, I'm going to fight that, which isn't going to work, or you can just go, okay, how do I use this to my advantage? How do I create a task list that my brain wants to do? You know, essentially you were sort of gamifying your task list. And when we do that, your brain is like, count me in.
Tricking the brain. But that's the thing, is that I think people work best in spurts like that, and it's just a good way to get spurts done and get that momentum flowing versus trying to wrestle the bull to the ground and all at the same time and focused on it that way.
Exactly. Yeah.
Good stuff. Who else has questions, everybody out there? Who's got a question? Who's struggling right now with a variety of things that they'd like to ask Laura with? Come on, don't be shy, everybody. Let's see here. What else? We missed something. Liv said, Laura, this was amazing. Heather says, thank you for this excellent and entertaining answer. Good stuff. Let's see here. Wonderful presentation, positivity and value. Good stuff. Yes.
Can you tell I eat this stuff for breakfast? Like, I mean, this stuff lights me up.
Right.
We teach this course live once a year, in December every year. And we bring people in, we do like, we workshop it together. I mean, it's like, okay, I'm going to teach you this little 10-minute thing, and then I'm going to give you 15 minutes to just work on it while we're here. Oh, Julianne says, I need more discipline to avoid the bright shiny. Yes. So here's the thing. It's not about discipline. It's not about discipline. Discipline doesn't work, particularly in the long term, and particularly for entrepreneurs. So I want you to get rid of the idea that you need more discipline. That implies that you're broken in some way. You are not. You don't need more discipline. What you need is more focus. And the beautiful thing about having a plan and having it on a single sheet of paper and looking at it every day is that it creates that focus. It reminds you of the why. It reminds you of the how. And then when you have that daily success checklist, which you spend about 30 seconds a day filling out your daily success checklist and setting that up, when that sits in front of you and you look at it and you go, oh, I have these 3 30-minute tasks that I need to get done today. And when I do those, I can pat myself on the back and decide to quit for the day, right? Like I did the heavy lifting. And we always tell people, just get those 3 things done first thing in the morning. And that it just changes absolutely everything. I just saw Elizabeth said, I love the distinction of focus versus discipline. You're not wrong. You're never wrong. You're not broken. You're actually in the top 15% of the population. Like, you're special. And that's a good thing. And when you take that bright, shiny object syndrome and you focus it and you create those priorities and you spend that time doing it, you're just like, look, I just spend this time planning, and then all I have to do is focus on the execution. And here's the really cool thing is when you get those 3 things done, if you want to open up your bright, shiny object syndrome and go run with stuff and have fun with things and do cool new stuff, you can, because you know you've already got the important stuff done, right? So you can do both. You can have the concentration and the focus of the plan, and then you can go play, right? And if you want to run with your bright, shiny object syndrome in hobbies, great. Elizabeth said,
what do you do about the ideas that come up in the midst of the other projects?
Yeah, so you write them down on what we call a not now list. And this is a thing that I learned actually from Roy Disney. And it's how he kept Walt Disney focused, because Walt Disney was an idea machine, but he could never get anything done. So whatever's on the plan gets done first, and anything that comes up in between, you put it on a not now list. And when everything on the plan is done, then you can go to the not now list and pull some items off of there that you want to play with. But here's the really funny thing about a not now list is about 90% of the stuff that you write down on there, if you wait a little while, when you come back to it after everything is done, you'll look at it and go, man, that was a really stupid idea. I'm glad I didn't get distracted with that. Like, most of the stuff on your not now list is garbage. But it seemed like a good idea at the time. And if you could just not act on it, then you'd be in good shape.
Good counsel there for you. All right. Awesome stuff, Laura. Thank you so much for waking up early, and be safe down there and then land from down under till you get back here. And thanks for coming on the Peace and Pivot Summit for us.
Thanks. It was super fun. I had a great time today.
Thank you, Laura. It was amazing. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, guys, we're going to take a, was it 8.5, 9-minute break till our next special rock star comes up, which will be Penelope Jane Smith talking about how to managing cash flow even with irregular income. And her and I have been exchanging emails back and forth the last 2 hours here. So she is so jacked up, so excited to be speaking here in 8 minutes with us. So see you guys back here in just a few minutes.
Okay.
Hey, Penelope, we just broke. We'll be back right at in about 6 minutes. Hey, Penelope.
Hey, hey, how's it going?
Good. We just broke for took a little 10-minute break. We'll be right back in about 6 minutes with everybody. So
Great.
Hey, Penelope, good to see you.
Hey, good to see you too. So I'm ready and raring to go whenever you guys are. I'm gonna mute myself.
Okay, cool. Hi,
Penelope.
Penelope.
Hey, Juliet, nice to meet you.
We're just giving our
Actually,
butts
you
a
were on my
break here. So.
podcast a couple years ago.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you.
I'm sorry, that just happened to me yesterday. I interviewed somebody. She's like, "Nice to meet you." I'm like, "Okay, we've met like 3 times."
No, you know what's funny is Elizabeth. I kept promoting, and I kept calling you Van Hall.
Oh,
So it was like I didn't even know you had a new name now.
yeah, I got married. That happens. So it's true. But yay, I'm glad to reunite. Thank you for having me on on your podcast. And
I know. How old is Gabriel now?
almost 3.
Almost
Yeah,
3.
and I'll have been married for 5 years in October.
Oh,
So-
okay. So are we waiting till 10 after, Scott, or you want me to go ahead?
I think we're waiting, right?
I think we're waiting so that
Oh.
people can get up and move and
Bathroom
do all
break.
those things one
yeah,
must do.
El Baño, beverage, and maybe a beer.
I would be asleep if we did that. I would love to do that, but this is getting on to me nap time, which is dangerous. So I love that we can do this with people around the world. That's what's also very cool. We've had people on from all over the world here. So
Awesome, awesome.
Where's home for you, Penelope?
I'm in the San Francisco Bay Area. Specifically today, I'm in Hercules, California.
Cool.
Yeah. So I'm just pulling up a sample cash flow planning thingy for people.
You have a specific link you want me to put in the comments later on?
I emailed you the links.
Okay.
And probably money date checklist and maybe financialfreedomsession.com.
Okay.
you know, we'll see what ends up happening.
Okay.
Yeah. See, I want to see if I can like delete this category. Hang on. Oh, here we go. There we go. Okay, I think you guys are gonna like this. This thing. So, what's been some of the best parts of this event so far?
It's all been great, actually. We've really had, Scott did this whole lesson on reaching out on LinkedIn and how to find things, and did it for whoever was on the call. We was talking to everybody who was on the chat. It's like, okay, what do you want to look up? Yeah, here. So how'd you do that?
Nice.
And then Tina Greenbaum talked to us about managing our emotion, dealing with our emotions and grief and loss, and the fact that it doesn't look like it used to look.
Yeah.
And then we had Michelle Young, who was all exciting and interesting about why am I blanking? Really sort of like mindset and dealing with the loss of structure and how do you move forward. And then we just had Laura Posey with very concrete specifics on how to create a simple plan for each day. Reminds me of some of the checklists that you've shown me in the past. It's like really good, and a really good way of thinking about it is why the old ways of doing plans tend not to work. It's actually, let's start with why. It's what you're saying is what is your goal, and then what gets you there. Which
Cool.
It was really great. It's been an awesome day so far.
Yay.
Yay.
Happy to hear it. Okay, cool. So I guess I'm
You
ready.
can get rock and roll if you want.
I can take a moment to just breathe and ground.
Are we still on the same Facebook Live, Scott, or are we on a new one now?
This is the second one.
Okay.
So we do it every 4 hours. So before Laura went live, I did another live stream for the next couple hours. So
Okay.
Julian asked which link to share with people. Best link to share is just peaceandpivot.com. For if you want to share the links of peaceandpivot.com will be the link to share. If you want to share the live stream. So.
All righty. We ready? Or
Think so.
Are we recording yet?
No, not yet.
Okay.
I mean, on Facebook, yes, but not for the replay sessions. So
okay.
we'll let her come back on and then we'll start recording. Lottie Dottie, we like the party hottie.
Thank you, Scott.
All right, Penelope, come on back.
All right. There we go.
There she is. All right.
So we are ready for our next guest, and she is Penelope Jane Smith, and she is the premier financial freedom coach for women entrepreneurs and the go-to expert for some of the biggest names in the conscious business industry. She's an acclaimed international speaker, a certified trainer with over 20 years of teaching experience, and the author of The Little Book of Prosperity. Through her signature program, she has helped thousands of entrepreneurs from all over the world to create more ease, more peace, and more freedom around money. So, welcome.
Yay! Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to share today because this is a topic that I think is very timely and important right now. So we are going to talk about how to manage cash flow even with an irregular income. So if you're tuning in to this part of our awesome Peace and Pivot event, then you'll get to see that this is the most important skill to master if you want to basically ride the economic tsunami and position yourself to build wealth and become financially free. And most entrepreneurs really have no clue how to do this effectively. And I say entrepreneurs because that's mostly who I work with. So in this short training within a training, you will learn how to leverage the power of your #1 wealth building tool to create financial ease, peace, and freedom. You'll learn the top 10 biggest mistakes that most entrepreneurs make when they create their cash flow plan and what to do instead. How to enjoy spending money consciously without guilt or fear. And the #1 money myth that entrepreneurs tell themselves that causes them to struggle financially. We'll talk about how to model the cash flow patterns of wealthy people so that you can get those results in your own life. And we'll go through helpful tools and tips for making cash flow planning fun, easy, and quick. Sound good?
Boom. Excited.
Okay. Awesome. So feel free to jump in with questions as we go along. Hopefully this will be really clear and helpful. And the reason that I'm so passionate about this is because back in the 2008 real estate crash, I had over 35 properties totaling over $6 million in real estate. I built this portfolio up in 4 years, starting with $10,000 of my own money. And then I lost it all in the crash. And it was like I was running around scrambling, trying to pay everybody, and my electricity got turned off. I couldn't afford to get it turned on. All the food in the fridge went bad, and I just lived in fear of like coming home and finding my pets trapped inside and the locks changed, so I couldn't get inside the house, which eventually did go to foreclosure. And then I was scrambling around looking for a place to live too. And if I had known then what I know now, I probably would have been able to keep my house, probably not the whole empire, but at least my house. And I definitely would have been able to keep the electricity on. And so that's why I'm super passionate about sharing this with you now, because cash flow planning is awesome and important anytime. And it's like absolutely critical right now. So as this started, all the coronavirus news started coming out, I was like, oh my God, I need to get out and let people know how to do this so they don't make some of the same mistakes that I did and, lose their homes too, right? And, obviously since then I've been able to turn things around, building my business to triple where it was before the crash and, cash flow my dream wedding, have an extra long maternity leave, life is good. So I feel like I'm, much better prepared to weather this storm with these tools. And so that's why I want you to have them. So let's talk about cash flow patterns, shall we? So on the screen, hopefully you can see this financial statement. It's called an income statement. And at the top you have income, and at the bottom you have expenses. Make sense? So this financial statement is the income statement. And then here's another financial statement called your balance sheet. On one side, you have assets, what you own. And in this context, assets are things that generate income for you, okay? If you were to stop working, assets would feed you. They would put money in your pocket, right? On the other side, you have liabilities, what you owe. In this context, liabilities are things that generate more expenses for you, like payments on debt. If you were to stop working, your liabilities would devour you. They'd take money out of your pocket. Now, I know that's not the traditional definition, but it's helpful for this conversation. You with me so far? Okay, so let's look at the cash flow pattern of a poor person. And I'm logged into Zoom where normally I have the option to annotate, but I don't see it. So if my facilitators can let me know, oh, there it is. Okay. I found it. Yay. And if you haven't used Annotate on Zoom, this is awesome because it allows you to draw on the whiteboard, on slides, on whatever you want. So here's the cash flow pattern of a poor person. They have some income come in, and then they have some expenses. It goes out, and that's pretty much it. They make some money, they spend it. They tend to spend about as much as they make and not necessarily own a whole lot of stuff. The cash flow pattern of a middle class person, and again, this is oversimplified, but they also have income. And in addition to their expenses, they maybe buy a house or a boat or have some credit cards, get student loan debt, car loans. They acquire liabilities, and that generates more expenses for them. So that's the oversimplified cash flow pattern of a middle class person. You ready for a wealthy person? So they still have some money come in as income. Part of that income goes towards investing in assets, which then generates more income for them. And then they use some of that income to invest in more assets. And part of those, and then the assets generates more income for them, which they use to invest in more assets, and so forth and so on. So do you see how it creates this really awesome prosperity cycle here? Like that's the cash flow pattern we want to be in, right? So if that makes sense, go ahead and like type a comment in the chat or below the video. I'm not sure like where you're actually tuning into this, but let me know what cash flow pattern you want to be in. So what I really want you to get out of all of this, even though they're oversimplified, let me just pull up the slide again for a minute, is that right here, this is like the point of choice because all of the cash flow patterns start there, right? So when you get $1, are you going to follow the cash flow pattern of a poor person by spending it all? Are you going to follow the cash flow pattern of a middle class person and put it down on something that and borrow the difference? Or are you going to follow the cash flow pattern of a wealthy person and use some of your income to buy assets that give you more income? So when you look at cash flow patterns this way, you can see how your income is your #1 wealth building tool. And you do that by putting some of that income into assets, which then go on to generate much more income for you than you could generate for yourself. Your money can work way harder for you than you can work. And when you invest some of that income in assets, that generates more income for you, and you have more and more financial ease, peace, security, and freedom. Yeah? So that's why it's so important to master the art and skill of cash flow planning, which means setting up a system to create and follow a unique cash flow plan each month. Because if you don't have a cash flow plan, it's almost impossible to make any real progress towards your financial goals. It's really hard, which will leave you feeling stuck and frustrated, kind of like this. Like you're a hamster on a wheel, just like running and running and running. And once you learn how to create and follow a cash flow plan, you're telling your money where to go instead of wondering where it went. One mistake that I see a lot of entrepreneurs make is thinking that just making more money will fix all of their money problems. And this is the #1 money myth that entrepreneurs tell themselves that cause them to struggle financially, which is the income myth. And it's tricky because there's some truth to it. Making more money is great and that can really help you. But if you aren't following a specific cash flow plan, more money typically just has you running on a bigger hamster wheel. You're still not really getting anywhere. So what is a cash flow plan? How do we do it? Let's make it happen, all right? So a cash flow plan is another term for budget. But a lot of people feel contracted when they hear the word budget. So I invite you to just like check in with yourself right now. How do you feel when you hear the word budget? Like what sensations do you notice in your body? A lot of people feel some tightness or contraction. A budget feels like something that's going to limit them or restrict them or not let them spend any money or have any fun, right? That's how most people think about it. But actually, you'll see in a moment how this type of cash flow plan can actually have you feel like you got a raise, and it gives you permission to spend money without feeling guilty or afraid that you won't be able to cover your other bills. So another term I use sometimes is a conscious spending plan, but I actually feel like cash flow plan is the most accurate term because it's not just about spending. It's about how are you going to allocate the cash that's flowing in your life, and how are you going to allocate how it flows from there? What is your plan for that? That makes a lot of sense to me. Now, one mistake that most entrepreneurs make when it comes to budgeting or cash flow planning is that they just make a list of their expenses. Maybe they're even tracking their expenses like something in Excel or Quicken or QuickBooks, or they have a bookkeeper track their expenses. And that is a very useful awareness exercise, but that is not a cash flow plan. There's a difference between planning what's going to happen and tracking what already happened, right? If you're driving a car, you want to look through the windshield, right? You don't want to try to make the trip by looking in your rearview mirror. And with making a list of your expenses, the whole focus is expenses. And the law of attraction says that what you focus on expands, right? So if you're focused on expenses, what are you likely to get more of? Expenses, right? A cash flow plan is a plan for the cash that is flowing in. So the idea is you're focusing on how to allocate your income. It's income focused, and you get to decide how to allocate your income. So the cash flow plan is only restrictive if you decide to make it restrictive. You can decide to allocate your entire monthly income to hats if you want to, or hand sanitizer. Well, I don't recommend that. It's your money and your choice. So what I actually recommend is making sure that you allocate some of your income towards having fun and being spontaneous, even if it's just a small amount, like $10 to $25 a month, but make sure that every month you have something because that nourishes the part of your soul that benefits from conscious spending and gets that part of you on board with like, let's go make more money so we can do more of this, right? And here's a huge insight. If you are in a relationship where you have combined finances, then I recommend having a category like that for each person, where one person really has no say in how you decide to allocate your fun money, your fun and spontaneity money. So just to give you some insight into my husband's sense of humor, he calls this category, when we're doing our cash flow plan, he calls this category Paul's Hooker Fund. And if you met my husband, you know, he's like the most like loyal, awesome guy, but that's his sense of humor. Mine is like less interesting. I just call mine Penelope Miscellaneous. So if I want to spend $5 on a latte or $150 on a massage or buy cute shoes or whatever, I can just go ahead and do that as long as there's money left in that category. And Paul can spend what I think is an insane amount of money on car stuff, guitars, baseball figurines. He bought this like $300 Wolverine action figure, and I'm like, oh my God, okay, this is category, you know? So it like relieves a lot of that tension in relationships and allows people to have some money that they can spend on the things that they value that maybe their partner doesn't, without having a fight. So that's really, really important. So your cash flow plan can actually give you permission to spend money, which allows you to enjoy it consciously without guilt or fear. So why is it important to create and follow a cash flow plan each month? Statistically, there's such a high correlation between doing a cash flow plan and financial success that not doing it is just not a great option. Also, on the emotional and spiritual side, which is an important part of managing your money as well, you experience more clarity and peace when you have a plan. Sometimes people are scared to look at their money because of what they might see. There's stress around unknowns. So it's like thinking about that monster in the closet. Like, I don't want to look in my closet because maybe there's a monster in there. But once you actually look in the closet, you might find out that what you thought was a monster is only a kitten. Or maybe it is a monster, but now you know what you're dealing with, right? And that alone creates less stress. So if you find yourself in a position where you have more bills than money and creditors calling you constantly, which, you know, I have been in back in 2008, you'll be a lot calmer working your way through all of that when you have a clear plan in place than when you're just like running around trying to pay whoever's yelling the loudest and whoever made you cry last, and it's all just crazy and you don't know if you're gonna have enough money for food. I mean, that's chaos, and there's a lot of stress there. So how do you create an effective cash flow plan, especially when you have an irregular income? It goes up and down, you're not sure what your income is gonna be every month. So there are 2 ways that I recommend approaching cash flow planning as an entrepreneur whose income changes every month. How many ways? 2, right? So depending on your specific situation, you may use one or the other or a combination of these, okay? So the first method we're going to talk about works best if you know what your income will be. And I know you might not, but stick with me because we'll get to how to do it if you have no idea what your income will be, and it might be as little as 0. Okay, so one of the biggest questions I get as we're going through this part is, what if I don't know what my income will be? Wait for the second way. Okay, so we're going to cover that in the second method. So the first method works if you know what your income is. Are you with me? So we're going to talk about if you know what your income is, and then we're going to talk about if you don't know what your income is. Okay, so if you don't know what your income will be, just stick with me because I'm going to show you that method after this. So the first method is for what? When you know what your income will be, right? This is called a zero-based budget. If you know what your income will be, it's great to do a zero-based budget. When you're creating a zero-based budget, you list your income at the top, and then you allocate where each dollar or yen or, you know, whatever currency you're using is going, where that's going until you've allocated all of your income, and your income minus your allocations equals 0. So again, this doesn't have to be just expenses. It can be, I'm going to allocate $1,000 towards signing up for this educational program, or I'm going to allocate $1,000 towards putting in my reserve fund or my kids' 529 plan or investments. So it doesn't have to be just, money going out. It also doesn't mean that you're going to have a bank balance of 0, okay? Because you can allocate some of your money to sit there as your cushion, for example. It just means that you've given every dollar a job or an assignment before the month begins. You're doing this, you're doing this, you're doing this. It's kind of like if you have a baseball team, you're like, you're on third base and you're in the outfield and you're the pitcher, and that's about all the positions I know. I'm not great with baseball, but I know that they have different positions for the people on the team, right? So you can allocate some of your income to expenses, obviously. You can also allocate some of your income to savings or investments. This is how you put yourself into the cash flow pattern of a wealthy person. Allocate some of your income to investing in assets that give you more income, even if it's just a little bit. The habit of managing your money is more important than the amount. So even if you have no income at all right now and you ask somebody to give you $5 and you invest that $5, you're like starting that cycle. So would you like me to show you how this works?
Yes.
All right, cool. So there's different methods you can use, and I encourage you to use a method that works for you, but I'm just going to show you in an Excel template. So here's a cash flow planning spreadsheet to use if you like spreadsheets. If you don't like spreadsheets, don't worry, you don't have to do it this way. I know people that use a yellow pad, people that use another tool I'm going to show you, which is the one I use actually, but I just want to show you how the zero-based budget works. So my favorite tool for cash flow planning is actually a free budgeting tool called EveryDollar, which I'll show you in a minute. But here's the zero-based budget idea. So let's say, here's my company, Real Prosperity Inc. And I think that this month I'm going to be able to count on $10,000, let's say. Okay. And let's say I also have an Airbnb side business, and right now, that's taking a hit, but I still have one person that's staying in my Airbnb for the month, sheltering in place, let's say. And there's $1,500 a month coming from there. And then let's say that I'm expecting somebody to give me a gift for my birthday for $200. My birthday's not this month, but I'm just giving you an example. So that's the income part, right? And now let's do allocations. So you've heard pay yourself first. This is how. Look at the allocations before you look at the expenses. So these various different accounts, we're not going to go into all these. This is something that I, teach in my Prosperity 101 course, which I'm not even going to make an offer for here. But let's see, reserves or contingency account. This is a nice thing to have, especially right now. So you might say, okay, I want to put $1,000 into a just in case, fund, and maybe I want to put $200 into my son's 529 plan for education, and I'm going to put $500 into my IRA, let's say. So now I've allocated $1,700 towards savings and investments. And groceries, we actually spend kind of a lot on groceries, at least I think we do. And restaurants, we're foodies, so that's pretty high. And then we just kind of go through like this. So like electricity, I think that'll be about that. I think the gas is actually roped in. Cell phones, like $300 on that. So you just kind of go through, and down here it'll show you, how much you've allocated, how much you have left to allocate. If you have debts, you can decide like how much to put on each one. I recommend making minimum payments on everything and just attacking the smallest one as much as you can. So you would say, okay, I'm going to put $500 on debt number 1, and I'm going to just do the minimums on these, for example. We actually don't have to worry about that. But that's how you would do it if you did. And then if you wanted to put business in here, my business operating expenses are like $3,500. Non-monthly expenses, I actually included it in that operating. So there you go. So I still have $4,000 left to allocate. Let's say that I want to spend it on fun. We're just doing this really fast so you can see the process. I'm not going through all the categories. So then, boom, here we go. Total income allocated, income left to allocate, that's 0. So now we have a zero-based budget, which means that I've allocated every dollar, and every dollar is planned for. That make sense? So Juliet says, can we get a copy of that spreadsheet? I would be happy to share. I'm not quite sure how to do that. So for the people that are hosting this, let me know where I can.
You email it to me. I'll make sure everybody that's attended gets a copy of it.
There you go. But okay, so I'll send it to Scott so you can get it. However, I'm going to show you something even better than the spreadsheet, and this you can go get immediately. Okay. So this is a free app called EveryDollar, and it's there's an EveryDollar Plus version where you can pay a little bit to have your transactions automatically added to it. But what you can do is you can set up the cash flow plan on your computer, and then you can also track it on your phone. And so here's what it looks like when you log in. So let's say, okay, $10,000 a month from here and $1,500 a month from here. So you can create it, and it does all the math for you. So it's like, okay, $11.20 left to budget. If you want to add something, so let's say I want to add that gift. Okay, so here I am again, super fast. Do I want to give any to charity? Sure, I'll give some to charity. Here's that $1,000 I want to put in I call mine a reserve fund instead of emergency fund. Let's put $200 in the 529 plan. Let's add my IRA here, put $500 in that. So you can add categories, you can delete categories. You're like, what's that? I don't want that. Boom, gone, right? And then it'll also track for you. So say, look, okay, you have 900 or 9,500 left to budget. And if you wanted to do your business, if your business is pretty small, you could do your business planning and your personal all in here. I was doing that for a few years. So you can add a group. So let's say, here's my business, RPI business. and then you can add items. So here I have like Infusionsoft is $2.99 a month, and my VA is $1,000, and what else? DocuSign, that's going to be $10. So you can put all your stuff in there because it's a planning tool. Okay, so we're not commingling funds. This isn't for tax purposes. This is just for your own planning. You could also have, you know, a separate account for business and a separate account for personal. I did that for a while, and then I just couldn't stand logging into two different things. So I did it all in one for a while. Now what I do is I use EveryDollar for our personal cash flow plan, and I use the other method I'm going to show you for my business cash flow plan. Now here's another cool thing about EveryDollar is we have the app on our phone. So I have it on my phone, Paul has it on his phone, and here it is, boom, 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 EveryDollar. And what's so cool about this is now if Paul goes to Costco, he can enter how much he put in. And now I know how much we still have in the grocery category when I send my assistant to Trader Joe's. So we can see at a glance where we are as we're both out there spending money, you know, which is awesome. It's awesome. It's like one of my favorite relationship money communication tools. So love, love, love EveryDollar. And let me show you, I think I showed you how to do the different things. You can track the expenses in here. I like to track the expenses on my phone, but if you wanted to track in here, you would go to transactions, add new. Let's say I spent, you know, sure, $89, why not? I spent $89 at Trader Joe's, and that goes in the grocery category. Boop, there you go. Then it would show up. So right now it's saying I have $61.91 left to budget. So I want to show you what happens when we budget everything. So let's say we're going to put $61.91 all into fund money. Boom. Then it says, bing, it's an EveryDollar budget. So everything has penciled out. Now let's say I put an extra 1,000 there. It's like, oh, you're 1,000 over budget. So I really, really like that it just puts you on track like that. And it also shows you how your income is getting allocated percentage wise. So you can say, oh, I'm giving 4% of my income, I'm saving 15% of my income, you know, 17% is going to food, 53% is going to personal. That's kind of extreme in this thing, but I like how it does that breakdown. And so anything else? Let me know if you have any other questions about EveryDollar, if there's anything else you want me to show you. But you can see like, here's how much I have left in each category. Here's how much I've spent in each category. And you can also see that on the phone. So that's awesome. And it's free, like, oh, so I'm just totally into that. So that's EveryDollar. Let's see, I showed you how to, you sign up and log in, showed you what it looks like when you log in, how to create your budget. You can also use 1 month as a template for the next month. So you do need a unique cash flow plan each month because every month is different. Some months you have Christmas, other months you have somebody's birthday, right? But let's say I want, like, it'll take you a little while to set this up the first time, but then you can use that as a starting place for future months so that the things that stay the same, you don't have to put in every time. So let's say I wanted to create one for May. If I click start planning for May, it'll just copy April's budget and then I can go in and adjust it. Pretty cool, right? So that is EveryDollar. That's how I shared about how my husband and I handle cash flow planning. So how we do it month to month in our household is I have regular money dates with myself, which is like sacred time to focus on my money, you know, put the cash flow plan together, transfer money into investments, whatever. And I have a whole like money date checklist that I go through. So here's my binder for my money dates. And then I pull up my checklist and I just start working on the first thing and I go down. So this training isn't about money dates. I have a whole module on that, but what I can do is I could just give you my money date checklist template, and then you can use that to model and create what you might like to do in your own money date. but it's really important because then you're actually taking the time to look at your money, and all the other systems kind of stem from there. So if you want to grab that template, that's at moneydatechecklist.com. It's free. Again, moneydatechecklist.com.
We've got some
And
questions here, Penelope.
yeah, so could you set up a number of different ones that track to one login? For example, I work in travel. So for each trip, I want to track my expenses, but then have all them in one account. Is there a way to store receipts? So EveryDollar is really great for planning. For tracking, I prefer Quicken, or if you want a team to do it for you, I really like Bench bookkeeping, and they can store receipts in Bench. In EveryDollar, if you wanted to use it for planning your various different trips, you could create it, like I showed you how to create a category for business. You could create a category, which is like a bundle of expenses for each trip or each business. So you could do that. For tracking the expenses and having them all in one account. Yeah, this is more for planning than tracking, but I hope I answered your question. If not, please jump in and clarify. Definitely want to make sure you feel really confident in this. So what happens is I do my money date, and during my money date, one of the things that I do is I create the first draft of the monthly cash flow plan in EveryDollar on my computer. It takes me maybe 10 minutes, if that, because most of our stuff stays the same. And then I tell Paul, hey, it's up there. And either we have a money date together where we review it, or he reviews it and proposes changes. I'll just let you know right now, he'll be like, more money for restaurants, more money for concerts. That's typically his feedback. Once we've agreed on the plan for the month, then we track our expenses when we're out and about with the app, right? And honestly, there's only a handful of categories that we need to track like that, which is the things where we might go over, like groceries, restaurants, fun money, like electricity, cell phone, HOA, property taxes. Those are just going to be what they are. So we put them in the plan, but we don't take the time to go back in and be like, oh yeah, that thing that's $243 for the gym. Yeah, we paid it because we know we're going to pay it. But we want to make sure that we're staying on track with things where we might blow the budget up, right? So yeah, we don't go back and like confirm in there that we paid daycare or anything like that. If you hate the idea of tracking, then a super simple way to make sure you stick to your plan is to use cash envelopes for those categories where you might go over, like groceries or restaurants. And here, I'll show you a tool for this too. Let's pull this up. So if you have a certain amount of cash just sitting there, it's really easy to see how much cash you have left in like your grocery envelope for the week or month. And then when it's gone, it's gone. So here's another tool I like. This is Dave Ramsey's starter envelope system. And it's cute. It's like a little checkbook kind of. And then when you go inside, it has, let me see if I can show you. Here we go. So it has like an envelope for each category. So you can have one for groceries, one for restaurants, one for fun, one for clothing, whatever. And then you have the cash for each category in its own envelope, but it's all like put together nicely and organized. And there you go. So I think that's a pretty cool little tool for if you want to just go on a cash basis. And a lot of people do that, and it's great. It makes them feel like they have more money because they're not spending unconsciously. What if you hate math? Well, this does not require complicated math, just addition and subtraction. And if you use a system like EveryDollar, it'll do the math for you. So you really don't need to do any math. So I highly encourage you to experiment with cash flow planning until you come up with a system that works for you and your unique situation and behavioral style. Because typically when it doesn't work for people, it's just they haven't found a system that works for them, right? I love EveryDollar. Big fan, obviously. You can tell from my energy, right? One of my VIP clients prefers to do everything in Excel. That would drive me crazy, but that's what she likes. Other people hate doing this on the computer and they prefer to just write it out manually on a piece of paper or a yellow pad. And that's fine. Like how you do it isn't nearly as important as, actually it's not important. Like what's important is that you do it, right? So that you can get yourself in more and more into that wealth cycle. So how do you figure out what your income is going to be when it changes every month? So there's a few ways. Number one is take your best guess. So based on what you know of your life and what's coming up, what's your best guess based on what's coming up that month? The second way is the absolute minimum. So you can create a zero-based budget based on your worst month ever, and then use the other method that I'm about to teach you for any other income that comes in above that. So you might say, okay, my income goes up and down, but it kind of goes up and down in a range of, 2,000 to 8,000, let's say. But it's like, I can't imagine it going below 2,000. Well, then you would use 2,000 for the zero-based budget, and the rest of the income, the second method that you're going to see. The third way is to use an average income and then use a hill and valley account. So what is a hill and valley account? This allows you to even out your cash flow. So this is a separate bank account exclusively for the purpose of cash flow planning. So on the biggest income months, you put money into the account, and on the lower income months, you take money from that account so that you always have enough to cover everything in a cash flow plan based on your average income. So let's say that you're confident you'll make at least $60,000 per year. You're like, yeah, for sure, 60,000. That averages out to 5,000 a month. So on months where you earn more than 5,000, you would put the excess into the Hill and Valley account. And on months where you earn less than 5,000, then you would take money out of the Hill and Valley account to make up the difference. Does that make sense? And then the fourth method is actually my favorite way of doing it because it requires zero guesswork and no separate account, is to use the previous month. So what I mean by that is you know exactly how much income to allocate in your plan because this is where the income from one month gets allocated the following month. So for example, any income that I earn in April, that's how much I'm going to allocate for May. Are you with me? Now, this requires to have, it requires you to have enough of a cash buffer in your account that you don't spend any of the April money until May rolls along, until the next month. So those are 4 different ways you can figure out what to put in that income category with the zero-based budget. And again, you can experiment with what works for you, right? You have lots of permission to mess up and not be great at this because trial and error is the best way to create a system of managing cash flow that works for you personally. And it usually takes 90 days to get a feel for it, at least. So give yourself lots of permission to be human here, okay? If you overestimate or underestimate in a category, that just helps you estimate more accurately moving forward. And guess what? This is not set in stone. So you can actually update your plan throughout the month. So you may have forgotten to include buying a gift for someone's birthday, or maybe this is the month where your car registration is due. Like right now, I budgeted a certain amount for childcare. It's going to be more because, well, I'm doing this interview. So I'm like adding extra things beyond when I thought I needed childcare. So I'm going to have to adjust based on that, right? So maybe you need to pull a little from other categories to cash flow those things. And it's okay if you don't create the perfect cash flow plan, right? In fact, I hate to break it to you, but you will never create the perfect cash flow plan because you're never going to spend exactly down to the penny in a lot of these categories. You just want to get to the point where your cash flow plan is good enough to get you where you're going. And then if you go over or under in a category, you can kind of like reconcile that for the next month's cash flow plan. This is a skill that is going to serve you for life, and you're going to make lots of mistakes. So really focus on this. It's all about progress, not perfection. Please say that to yourself. Progress, not perfection. And if you make a mistake, just pick up and resume as quickly as you can and keep moving forward. Okay, now the moment you've been waiting for. What if you really have no clue what your income will be and it could be as low as 0? Then you use the second method of cash flow planning, which is to make a prioritized list of how you'll allocate the resources you have and your income as it comes in. So this I do in Excel. So I'll just show you. This is my priority income allocation checklist. Okay, here we go. So there it is, not very sophisticated. So let's say we're starting off with like, here's my current bank balance. Let's say I have $5,000 to work with. Okay, so then what you do is you make a prioritized list of how you'll allocate your income as it comes in. And this isn't just a list of expenses. It also includes savings, investments, etc. And you're going to list everything in order of where you'll allocate your income first, second, third, etc. as it comes in. So can I help you out with the first few items on your list?
Yes, please.
Thank you. So number one is going to be food. Now this isn't like dining out every night. This is basic cook at home food. Like if you really don't know if you're going to have enough to cover everything. So let's say you allocate 500 to food and like basic, you could do that. Then you go, okay, well, D5 minus C7. Okay, I have enough for food. That's good. And then the next thing is basic utilities. So lights, water, trash, utilities. So this is keeping you in that. And then the next is shelter. So your rent or mortgage and basic transportation. So this isn't going out and buying a Tesla, but you know, putting gas in your car and stuff like that. So let's say your rent or mortgage payment is 2,000 and your basic transportation expenses are like 300. So then you can see how, oops, you can see how you're doing here. Here's how to do a formula in Excel. So this is D7 minus C8 does the math for you. D8 minus C9, boom. And then I should be able to just copy and paste the formula. There you go. All right, so if I had, you know, 5,000 to work with, and these are my basic living expenses coming up, well, I got enough to cover that. So that's really nice. If I only have 1,000 to work with, then I'm like, oh, okay, I need to go generate another $2,100 to be able to cover the basics. Or let's say, so let's say I need to, you know, client A is going to pay me $2,000. Go 2,000 in income equals D5 plus B6. Let's make this money. Boop. And then I need to adjust these formulas because I screwed that up. D6 minus C5. Boom. Okay. Did I mess that up? Yes. D6 minus C8. Okay. So now I'm only $100 shy. So then that's how you go through. And then if enough income comes in for one more thing, then what will that thing be? Now this is super, super important because when everybody is screaming at you to pay them, it's hard to see things clearly and it's easy to get overwhelmed and make decisions that really don't serve you. It's like your prefrontal cortex just kind of shuts off and your amygdala takes over and you're like, oh my God, what do I need to do to survive this moment, right? So I mentioned that in the 2008 crash, I lost my $6 million real estate empire, including my own home to foreclosure, and I had to start all over from scratch. So I so wish I had known this when I was in the middle of losing everything. A collector from Washington Mutual called me and he made me cry. So I agreed to pay $500 a month on my home equity line. And I want you to get how crazy this was. Because I wasn't paying my first mortgage. So the home was on its way to foreclosure. And then my electricity got turned off, right? So I just paid whoever yelled the loudest and I didn't take into consideration how I was going to take care of my basic human needs. But when you get those covered, you can live to fight another day, right? So if I had had a plan like this, I think I probably would have been able to keep my house, definitely would have been able to keep the electricity on, as I mentioned. So you allocate your income down the list as it comes in, and then you can move things up or down in priority as time goes on. So this is kind of like a living, breathing thing, right? And I mention this in case there's somebody here that's like in kind of a place of crisis, but this doesn't have to be a crisis thing. It can also be a really abundant thing, because you can say, oh, I want to buy, let's go to the abundance edge of the spectrum. I want to buy a private island. Okay, where on the checklist are we going to put it? Right? And how much is it? So you say, okay, once I hit these other 30 things, then the next thing that my income is going to get allocated to is my island. So it's cool because, again, you can, like, there's nothing you can't do. It's just a matter of when. And that feels really expansive, right? So you're not like, oh, I can't afford it. It's like, oh no, I have a plan and I will afford it once I get here. The other thing I've noticed is that for me, in manifesting money, it helps to have a really clear goal. Like when people just say they want more money, I'm like, okay, well, here's $1, right? But if you're doing this plan and you see, okay, in order to cover everything I want to cover and invest in this program and buy my island, like this is how much I need. Well, now you have like a specific vision, and then your brain starts getting all these like cool creative ideas and solutions for like, okay, well, how can I come up with that amount, right? So like when I was in the middle of losing everything, I got invited to attend a high-level mastermind on Sir Richard Branson's private island. This is a billionaire's private island in the Caribbean. It was a $50,000 investment. And I had like no money, no income, no credit. You know, my credit had been a train wreck. But I had this like, you know, deep intuitive hit that I was supposed to be there. And with that clear goal of 50,000, I was like, okay, how can I do it? And I told my inner critic to just go take a coffee break. And I came up with like as many ideas as I could. I was like, I'm not stopping until I have at least 10 ideas. Well, what could I sell for $50,000? How could I sell 5 things for $10,000? And I had 4 days to come up with the money. How could I sell, you know, 2 things for $25,000, 50,000 things for $1? You know, what lazy assets do I have that I could sell? What bonuses could I offer? Could I give somebody some revenue share or profit sharing in my company? And so I just like came up with all these creative ideas. And so when you have that clear plan, it really helps you with manifesting income as well. So it's huge. I love, love, love cash flow planning, obviously, which is why I'm here talking about it, right? And then what I do, and what you might do as well, is I use a combination of these 2 methods. So the zero-based budget for the amount of income you can count on, and the prioritized income checklist for the income that comes in above and beyond that. So what I do is I have the Excel spreadsheet for my business, and I'm looking like many months out, because the way my business model works is I'll get like big infusions of cash, and then that sometimes needs to like last me a few months because I do event-based stuff. And then so I'm kind of projecting out for many months, and then I have a certain amount that's my paycheck that my business pays me through payroll. And then that is the amount that I allocate in my zero-based budget that I do with my husband. Make sense? So now I'd like to just go over the top 10 mistakes that most entrepreneurs make when it comes to creating a cash flow plan and what to do instead so you can be set up for success. So mistake number 1 is not having a cash flow plan in the first place. Now you know how to create one, right? It's all about it. And you can review your notes from this and create the system that works best for you. The second mistake is not writing it down. So actually have this created somewhere, either in EveryDollar or Excel or on a notepad, but don't just keep it in your head. Have it written down where it's tangible and clear. And then the third mistake is using the same plan each month like a template. But the reality is every month is different. So you can use a template to start, like I showed you how to do in EveryDollar, but then you need to create a unique plan for each month. We talked about making a list of expenses only, and what you're going to do instead is create a plan for your income and how you're going to allocate it, including how you're going to allocate some of it to assets that can generate more income so that you get into that cash flow pattern of a wealthy person, right? Mistake numero 5, number 5, is not giving EveryDollar an assignment. So this is why you want to do a zero-based budget. Like, get your money working hard for you. You work hard enough for your money. Like, get it working for you. It can work way harder for you than you can work for it. And then not allocating to savings and investments, right? Because when you're all expense focused, you forget to allocate. So make sure that in your plan, you allocate some to that, even if it's just a little bit. I mentioned that my husband's always like, more money for concerts, right? So we went to a concert in San Francisco a while ago, and this young guy came and sat down next to me, and he turned around and he's like, oh, you're PJ. I'm like, yeah. He's like, oh my God, I went to one of your live events a few years ago, and you talked about, the cash flow patterns of wealthy people, and you talked about how, the habit of managing your money is more important than the amount. And so I started with like $1, $5, $10, and now I have over $10,000 saved. I've never had this much money saved in my entire life. It's so awesome. So I just really want to encourage you to get started. It's amazing what you can do. So start allocating to savings and investments. Number 7 is not tracking throughout the month. You want to create the plan, but then you want to make sure that you're actually following the plan, right? So I showed you how to do that in EveryDollar with Excel, or even just with cash envelopes. Number 8, we didn't talk about this, but it's really important, is not budgeting enough for food. More people, people spend more money on food than they think they do typically. So when you're new to cash flow planning, put in whatever you think you spend on food and then double it, because I would rather you had more than enough for food than ran out of money for food. And then related to that, number 9 is not separating food into groceries and restaurants, because it's really easy to blow your entire food budget for the month if you're going to restaurants. So separate those so that you don't, end up eating your cat's food the rest of the month, right? And then number 10, of course, is not including some fun money or, just spontaneous money. So that's really important. We talked about that. So your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to create the first draft of your cash flow plan for next month. And then you get to start practicing and figuring out what kind of system works for you, right? So I hope you'll enjoy experimenting with cash flow planning. Remember that this is a skill that takes some time and practice and trial and error to develop this skill. So give yourself a lot of patience and compassion. Remember, progress, not perfection, and happy cash flow planning. And now we have a few minutes for questions, comments, compliments, like what ahas, insights, takeaways did you get from this? What questions did you have? I wanted to leave a few minutes at the end here to support you with that. So let's see. Looking at my bank balances can be triggering. How can we set up accountability? Okay, those are 2 questions. It's too easy to postpone a money date. Okay, so looking at bank balances, this is again the whole monster in the closet thing, right?
Yeah.
Even if it's bad news, if you know what it is, now you can create a plan and deal with it. And there's stress around unknowns. So just the clarity can let go of some of that stress. So in terms of a money date, in order to make it like fun and not as triggering, I would encourage you to make a nice ritual out of it. So when you get the money date template, the money date checklist template at moneydatechecklist.com, you can create your own money date checklist with that. And what I would recommend that you do is the very first thing you put on the checklist is set the mood. Set the mood. A lot of people I've talked to, they're afraid to look at their money. It's very triggering. It's very scary. There's a lot of emotion. But if they can take that step to light a candle, to create sacred space, or get a glass of wine or a cup of coffee, or dance, like one of my VIP clients is like super resistant to doing her money dates. And I was like, well, what if you started off with a 1-minute dance break? And if that's all you did, you win. You did your money date, right? So she's like, I could do a dance break, and that's it. So her first thing is like dance for at least 1 minute, and that gets the energy moving to where then she's more likely to be willing to actually look at the stuff. So set the mood, do something fun that you would enjoy doing, and then maybe that'll like kind of lead you into enjoying the money date. When you're building a new habit like this, it helps to focus on micro habits. So like if you're building a habit to go to the gym, you might want to say, okay, I'm just going to commit to putting on my sneakers. That's it. And I'm going to put on my sneakers, and then I can just take them off and go back to bed. and I win, I get my points, right? So with this, maybe like what I encourage people to do a lot is say like, okay, just look at your checklist. And that's what it is for me. I'm like, okay, this is what I tell my clients to do. So I'm going to look at my checklist and I'm going to win. And so I pull it out. I look at my money date checklist. I'm like, oh, yep, there it is. Okay. You know, there was my money date. Yep. Did it. Woohoo. And, but what happens a lot of times is I look at the first thing on there and I'm like, I could probably do that right now, you know, and then all of a sudden I'm doing my money date, which is the point, of course. So that's some things. And then in terms of accountability, one of my favorite tools for accountability is, this is another free app called Stick. You're probably familiar with this,
Mhm.
but it's like the carrot or the stick, right? So you can create a stick contract. You can sign up for this for free. The hardest thing is remember how to spell it. It has 2 Ks. So it's stick with 2 Ks. And then you can create a contract with somebody. You can even put some money on the line and say, I commit to doing my money dates every week. And if I do, great. But you can have it set up to where like, if you don't, it'll donate, you know, let's say if I don't do this, I'm going to donate $100 to this charity. Or you could make it like an anti-charity, like something you don't believe in. You're like, oh God, no, I can't have $100 go to, okay, I don't want to offend anybody, but like, oh no, I can't stand $100 going to Donald Trump. I gotta do my money date, right? But whatever it is for you, maybe for you, it's like, I can't stand my $100 go to Bernie Sanders. You know, something that you would not want the money going to is going to be more motivating. So you get to learn about yourself, like having money on the line. Are you a more positive person where like you're more motivated by a celebration, or are you more motivated by, you know, avoiding the stick, you know, avoiding pain, and then set it up that way. So those are some things. Is that helpful?
Thank you. Yes.
All right, awesome.
Do we have any other questions? I have to say, I've taken PJ's course several times. Me being me, I've had to come back several times, but each time I retain a little bit more and I do it a little bit more. So it's always great to.
And that's the magic of it, Elizabeth, is like we have so much permission to be human. I've been doing this for like 20 years, and sometimes like I miss my money dates or I screw up my cash flow plan or whatever. It's like, as long as you just keep doing it, you're going to see results. Whereas if you throw in the towel and say, oh, what the hell, I'm just not going to do it at all. Well, that's not going to help, right?
Mhm.
It's the, like if you're trying to lose weight, this is the what the hell effect. It says, I had a bite of cake, I may as well eat the whole cake, right?
Yeah.
Don't do that. If you miss a money date, just do the next one. If you screw up your cash plan, just adjust it next time. And then that way that's going to support you to have these really important critical money skills for your whole life, right? And humans, you know, this is how we learn, is through making mistakes, and we are perfectly imperfect beings. So you have to have systems that allow for that imperfection, right? So one thing I'll just leave you with is I saw this quote online that just totally stopped me in my tracks, which is, do something today that your future self will thank you for. Do something today that your future self will thank you for. And I really believe that your future self will be happy to have learned this skill and started doing your money dates and your cash flow planning. So happy cash flow planning. I'm happy we got to be here with you, and enjoy the rest of the awesome Peace and Pivot Summit. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Penelope. Thank you so much for being part of this. This has been really amazing. And we're about to take a break, but you know, just tell us one more time how we get the, I'm just looking at the, or maybe Scott, you can post the link one more time in the chat, how we get to the,
Yeah,
what is it, cash flow money plan? I don't
it's
have it.
moneydatechecklist.com.
Money date checklist. Thank you.
Moneydatechecklist.com. Yeah, thank you.
For some reason, my chat doesn't want to scroll today. So
It's
Yeah, and
rolling.
I'll send
Across it.
Scott the Excel sheet so you can share the Excel
Awesome.
sheet if you want.
Will
great.
do. Thanks, Penelope.
Thank
All right.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thanks so much.
All right, let's take a 10-minute break before we bring on the rock star, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Merrill Chandler here in about 10 minutes.
Okay.
how did that happen?
Merrill.
How's it going, ma'am?
Good, man. How about yourself?
Doing unable to start video. Okay, I'll wait for you. Hello, Juliet. I have been blacklisted. Start my video. There we go. Hey, you guys.
What's up, sunshine?
Woo. Yeah, actually, getting her done. I'm trying to simplify, make more elegant, and make it easier for people to get here. I'm kind of I don't know. You guys don't know me well enough to know that I can be wordy and emphatic and demanding. So
No, not you.
Really?
I know.
Really?
I know. It's something that most people never get a chance to see because it's super private, right? So anyway, so now I have all of my, so I'm working on my sections so that everything that I'm doing is super easy for everybody to, when they register or whatever. I've taken it down from like the instruction page from this long to this short, and I'm really happy about it. And I don't know why I can't do that the first time when I'm
It's called a brain dump and then organize.
when I do, yeah, that's what it is. And then I synthesize and I make a couple of tutorial videos. So it says you need by boot camp. Yeah, anybody who wants one. Hey, there's 18 of you. Welcome. So so the whole point is that I can I establish, like you said, it's a brain dump, and then I build tutorials so that they can click on it if they need further information. I thought that was sometimes I'm genius, sometimes I'm a little slow. So
Well, what do you say we get started? Give you a couple extra minutes, 'cause I know an hour for what you've got to cover will squeeze into an hour pretty fast, huh?
Yep. Yeah,
Good.
that'd be great. And I've actually put on my Zen. This will be my Zen presentation since
Very
I'm
good.
on the peace side of it all. So
Cool.
yeah, let's go
get
for
started.
it. All right. So
All right, everybody. Well, hey, I am excited to have our next guest here. He's all rocking and raring to go. If you don't know this guy, you might want to strap in, grab a pen and paper, take some notes, because this guy provides something that I believe should be taught to all of us, all our kids, our grandkids, and our grandkids that we don't even know about yet, because he is the Messiah. And we're not here to talk about credit repair. He's how to create fundable profile. That's why he's the head of Get Fundable, the author of The New F Word, and the dynamic host of the Get Fundable podcast, the one, the only Mr. Merrill Chandler. How's it going today?
Thank you, Scott. It's funny. Please, we don't want to make any mistakes when he says the Messiah of funding approvals. It is Good Friday, so we just want to keep our lines, separated.
GF, Good Friday, man.
This is this is good GF, Good Friday. Get Fundable, gluten free, all apply. So, everybody, welcome. I'm gonna share my screen now. Have I been given permission?
You've got my permission there, sunshine.
All right, very good. So let's go to, we're gonna share our screen, and let's go to the presentation as we know it.
There you go.
Okay, so can you guys see the Zoom webinar chat there on the screen?
Nope. All we see is the millionaires are made in time of crisis.
All right.
You just moved it, whatever you just did.
Yeah, so there we go. Now we're set. Okay, guys. First of all, it's an honor to be here. Over the last few days, I've had the opportunity of actually spending time with folks I already know, but meeting some people that were going to be part of this Peace and Pivot Summit, and never had an opportunity to meet them before. But we got to interview each other and talk about and share kind of where we're coming from and what are our gifts, what do we have to offer this part of the summit, the peace especially side. And I'm telling you, it was wonderful to get to know you guys, the fellow presenters, and everyone. And thank you organizers for coming up with the idea and putting it together. There's so much great stuff to come tomorrow. I am going to be here for the cocktail hour with my glass of wine all ready to go. So hopefully you guys are everybody's going to join us. Now, the thing that I want to talk about is, this is really important. Scott says that everybody needs to know this because the entire financial universe is built on what we're going to be talking about. And I believe these things are critical. Every entrepreneur needs, and that's who we are. The entrepreneurs are the lifeblood of movement, right? Even Apple started out, Wozniak and Steve Jobs were entrepreneurs at first before they became the largest and most valuable company in the universe. So here today, we're going to be talking about the 3 secrets that you need to know. Every entrepreneur needs to know to thrive and grow in every market, not just this one, every market, and learn how not to get trapped in that death spiral of not just negative beliefs, but actually negative behaviors that are going to be triggering your lenders, going to be triggering your creditors, and they're going to either shut you down or they're not going to lend to you in the future. And that's what we want to learn about today, is how to protect yourselves. Now, that would be massively helpful, right? Would this be a good thing? All right. So every one of you is an entrepreneur. You're the lifeblood, not just of your own business and in your community, but you're also there. We've all gathered here together to create this feeling of let's support more and more people. Let's support how we can get the skills necessary to have peace in body, mind, and spirit, as well as how do we protect ourselves and how do we create peace financially. And that's what we're talking about here today. So the reason why I'm here today is because I know every single one of you. If I can just help one of you fast track to make the right steps, take the right steps in order to protect what you have, or give you a parachute for a soft landing if contraction is required in your life and the worst predictions come true, I want you to be able to have a soft landing. And if I can do that for even one of you during and after this crisis, then that is how we're going to change the world together. That's how we're going to, and that's what I'm about today. All right. So first things first, we are facing, everybody calls them uncertain times, unprecedented times. It's true. We've never walked this part of the path. I don't know the great philosopher who called it the pathless country. We are in unknown terrain, right? And some of us may have maps. You've been hearing about different maps to walk this path right now. Some people don't have maps to this terrain. And people have asked me if I think that entrepreneurs and real estate investors and all the individuals who are of that, small businessman and woman ilk, are we going to make it through? How do we make it through? Now, I'm an optimist, but I'm also a realist. And what I mean by realist is that 2 + 2 is 4. In this universe, it's always 4. So I'm a realist when it comes to knowing that if you do the right things, you will have positive or negative benefits as a result of that. So now more than ever, we need objective guidance to growth. We need to know the truth. Only the truth is actionable. And we want to be able to grow from here to our next level for focused growth forward, right? So there are, throughout history, there are countless stories of people who have battled through life, shattering the adversity, right? Coming from behind, the dark horse, rags to riches stories. Some of you even have experienced for yourself rags to riches stories. You know that these stories inspire humanity. But for us, these stories stoke our entrepreneurial spirit. There are literally hundreds and hundreds of people that have a before and after where they came from hard times and they always found a way to come on top, just like you have found a way to come on top. In 2008, our country went through a devastating time like no other with the foreclosure crisis. And some of you, many of you, maybe even most of you, are now in a better position than then. The question is how long did it take you to be in a better position than coming out of the foreclosure crisis? Did it take 6 months or a year, 5 years, 10 years before you recuperated from the Great Recession? All of us survived and we're stronger and more resilient because of it, but we are in unprecedented times. So now it's time to level up. So I ask you, can we find success? Can you have success in a time of crisis? You've been hearing all day that people are saying that it's about opportunity. Michelle Young earlier was literally saying, when you lose your structure, you need to find your structure, or reestablish structure. This is the pathless country for most of our clients, most of our friends and our families. So the answer is invariably yes, we can have success. You can have success, but there are things that you need to know to be successful. So my goal for you, I'm committed in even before this tidal wave that's approaching us, I am committed to helping every single entrepreneur get what they need to thrive, to know how to protect their business and know how to recover from a worst case scenario. I hope that we're all able to thrive, but just in case, I want to give you the tools necessary to do all three. So by the end of my hour, my job, my goal, my commitment to you is to show you individually that you have a clear path for you to come out of this crisis better than you entered it. If it's 10 times better or 2 times better, there is a clear path. So for those of you who don't know me, Scott introduced me. My name is Merrill Chandler. I'm a high performance fundability coach and a business funding expert. And my mad obsession, my magnificent obsession, is helping entrepreneurs across the United States. Nothing. I just ask Scott and Julia, anybody who knows me, this is what gets me amped. But in the last financial crisis, I'd been doing this for a long time, but I didn't know everything that I know now. And I did a lot of things right. And now as the markets tightened up, our clients are still getting loan approvals and automatic increases on their credit lines. Every day, my team reports the activities of our clients and our students, and our clients who have done what I'm showing you today. Our clients who have implemented these strategies are literally increasing their credit limits and getting new credit lines and loans. These are because, as we'll learn very shortly, lenders only make money when they lend. So let's get to it. I've done some things right, and as a result of my flying fast and loose personality, I also did some things wrong. Hell, I made some personal financial decisions that I'm now spending the rest of my life telling my clients not to do. I was my own cautionary tale, because everything that we put money in back there in the ramp up, right? 2005, 6, 7, it made us more money. And as a result, I got careless and learned some of the very things I'm going to share with you from my own experience. There's a whole lot of different people say it a lot of different ways, right? Flying fast and loose almost always turns out bad. The grasshopper over the ant, if we're going to go back to the old the fables. But just know this: everything I experienced happened for a reason. I'm the guy who takes the lesson, and it's not a tragedy, it's not a mistake, it's not an injury if you learn from it. Because my experiences and the things that I've learned has put us on a rocket sled to start and create momentum in this Get Fundable movement. I've had a chance to work with hundreds of entrepreneurs, and no one is teaching what we do, not a one. And so it's still kind of on the new side, but coming out of this, more and more people are starting to catch the drift, right? They're starting to understand that, hold it, this is a thing. You can be fundable in a recession. Yes, it's working for me and me and me. So it's my goal to get everybody to understand that there's a formula, that there's a key for all of us coming out and thriving out of this crisis. So now, while this isn't 2008, there's no matter what, we have to be smarter now than then, because it very well, if worst case scenario occurs, it very well may be far more have a stronger impact, positively or negatively, depending on how we're situated to do it. So we have to build something that's strong enough in our financial world. We have to build something that's strong enough to withstand any market change. Doesn't matter if it's going up and it's prosperous or going down and contracting. We have to have something that's strong enough that withstand that is a rock, and it's solid regardless of the winds that are blowing around us. This something is a renewable resource. What if you had a financial instruments that allowed you to be a rock in the storm that you can use like money over and over and over again? That's what we're talking about today. So give me a thumbs up here. I don't know where my panelists buttons are, but just are you with me? Do you understand where we're coming from? All right.
We're here.
All right. Let's so there we go. Joe. Yeah. So in your all panelists and attendees, just fire away in there. Tell me, give me a thumbs up or a yes, because this is a this is a participatory sport. All right. So getting through the thank you, Nathaniel, Scott, Joseph, etc. Laura, thank you. I'm going to blow your mind. So in this process, coming out of 2008, and a number of things I'll share with you in a moment, we discovered the key to unlock the secret to business funding. Now, when I say business funding, I'm not talking corporate credit in Fortune 500. I'm talking entrepreneurs, small business owners, real estate investors, and note buyers, individuals who have the ability to acquire tier one financial instruments, credit lines, and loans for their businesses, even during this crisis right now, this crisis. Now, of course, please understand, after over 25 years of doing this business, you guys, we've tried a whole bunch of crazy stuff, but I found a very compact handful of simple and easy ways that work every single time. And since I've discovered this the hard way, how would you guys like the easy way? You guys down to at least, hey Kurt, welcome. You guys ready to at least try some things on for size and see how easy it is? All right, very good. Now, most entrepreneurs, so over the last 25 years, I've learned that most entrepreneurs believe that a couple of things are evident or inevitable during a recession. One, you're going to have the reduction of limits or account closures. How many of you experienced that in 2008? Right? How many of you have experienced where they just 2008 came, closed accounts? Sometimes they left you upside down, even where you had $20,000 limit, you had 15 grand on your balance, and then they lowered the limit to $10,000. You were 15,000 above the limit, and your fundability and your score is getting crushed as a result. Most entrepreneurs believe they have no control. Most entrepreneurs believe that they think that it is as bad as they think it is, or that they've been led to believe by the media and the world that it is. Most entrepreneurs have been lied to about how business credit even works, and you've been manipulated or you've gotten taken and convinced into wasting money on business credit schemes that destroy your personal profile and don't even work. I'm here to debunk these limiting beliefs and these myths. So the proof is in the results. In the past 4 years, I've helped real estate investors, entrepreneurs, folks just like you to obtain over $103 million in approvals. And these approvals are continuing to this day, this last month. These numbers continue to go up. So let me talk about the 3 secrets, right? These are the ways in which these are the strategies, the secrets that only the insiders know. And you'll understand why I say I'm insiders, because because most of us don't have access to this intel. First of all, secret number 1 is only businesses who have initiated doomsday protocols will thrive during a recession. Now, here's what, so that means that by implementing these doomsday protocols, you can take advantage of opportunities that others will completely miss. They can't even see them. They can't see them. The fine woman who was just before me about budgeting, you said, it doesn't matter how much money you're budgeting. It matters how that you are budgeting, that you have a plan, that you're committed to this plan. So the whole point is that you have to implement protocols in order to survive. So let's go through what those protocols are. There's things you need to know and do. So let's talk about what you need to know. First of all, you need to know your current business cash position and your disposable asset position. I say this because your most valuable asset is your financial reputation, your borrower profile, and that borrower reputation. And other than food and taking care of your health and well-being, it is the most important financial thing in your lives. And if we make the wrong moves during this time, then we are going to feel the effects of it in the future. If we do the right things right now, we're going to feel the positive effects of this. So to make any of these, implement these strategies, you need to know what your business cash is and the disposable assets that you have. What's your business burn rate? How fast are you going to burn through all of your cash reserves at your current level of expenses? Then you need to know separately your personal burn rate. How fast are you paying your bills? How fast is that going? And how much is your personal burn rate if you cut out business expenses? Now, that's what you need to know. You need to collect that data. Then you need to audit every expense. You got to determine what expenses are mission critical. Now, what do I define a mission critical? Things that are going to make you money, not things that I'll leave it at. Only you can decide what that is. But you need to determine what expenses will propel you forward, give you momentum, not hold you back. Next, you have to cut out anything you shouldn't be spending on or that you've forgotten about. Now, how many of us have web services and softwares and online SaaS services software, all these different things that we've completely forgot about? Audit every expense and find out what you don't need right now to move your mission forward. Cut out all luxury expenses. It's my coaching, I'll talk about in a minute. My coaching, they're talking about it's easier to sell your yacht and buy a new one later than to foreclose on a yacht and ruin your borrower profile and your financial reputation for 5 to 7 years to come. So whatever is luxury, get rid of it. Get rid of it. And then finally, this is my personal word of caution to you. Everything I'm teaching you about decisions in a time of crisis, I've learned from my coaches and my advisors. I'm a genius at fundability optimization, but I am not a genius at every other thing that impacts in growing and maintaining and moving a business forward. So I have advisors and coaches. This whole weekend, you have all these amazing experts on how, and it's going to speak 10% to us or 130% to us, depending on what our needs are. But do not, the people who panic, start thinking short term, the people who are already triggered into survival mode, many times they're going to say that that's a luxury, or that coaching that you're getting, those advisors are not necessary. And I'm telling you, look at all the things you're learning so far and look at all the things that you're going to be being able to implement because of their expertise. Do not just walk away from your coaches and your people, guys. That in my world is mission critical. So be careful, because in times of crisis are the times you need the most guidance. When do you need a guide the most? When you're walking through your backyard, or when you're actually in the pathless terrain, when you don't know where to go from here? That is when you need your guide. That's when you need your advisors. So just saying, navigating a crisis is 100 times easier with a coach or mentor helping you through this process, because they can give you, their expertise drives giving you a plan to keep moving forward. So they're going to keep you thinking about growing more and contributing more. And that's how you will make a bigger difference in your community and your business while you're here. Right now in this recession, you're no good to anybody if you close your doors and you stop serving your community. It does no one any good. So make sure that you've got your guide through this insane period that we're going through. All right. Next, let's talk about secret number 2. The right borrower profile and the right borrower behaviors actually trigger recession lending protocols. So I'll ask you this. When do lenders make money? When they lend, right? When they lend. So they don't want to stop lending. So I'm going to use a target as a metaphor. In prosperous times, when money is loose and everybody's on a heyday, like we've had for the last 8 out of the last 10 years or so, it's like the equivalent of just being able to hit a target. If your fundability, if your ability to qualify for loans and lines of credit is good, decent, if you've applied some of the principles of fundability, you may hit the target. You may get lower limits and less money, but at least you're hitting them. Problem is, you have to be in the bullseye if you're going to be qualifying and receiving and taking down loans and lines of credit during a recession. They're still lending, but they're only lending to that bullseye, maybe the first circle out. They're still lending. So the question is, would you rather get a 10,000 in prosperous times out here or 100,000 when you're here? And it doesn't matter that whether it's a recession or a recession or a prosperous times, your bullseye will always give you the most. So having the right, so the rule of thumb is when you meet lender funding guidelines, underwriting software is designed to approve you. They will offer you lines and loans of credit, loans and lines of credit without you asking. Okay. How many of you have received, I'd like to show of hands here. How many of you received a credit card application approval in 30 seconds or less, 2 minutes or less, where you just filled out the app and it was like, yep, approved. Anybody? Now, how many of you, we got, yes, Joseph. So, okay, Joseph, you're the only one. So, but here's the point. How many of you have received a letter or an email from your lender where they automatically raised your limit, no income verification, no tax returns, no documentation, nothing, not even more than a soft pull, and they gave you more money for free? Anybody? Nathaniel, yes. Joseph, yes. Chase, Joseph, absolutely. Bryant, a number. So here's the thing. This secret number 2 is you're already experiencing it, some of you on the personal side. It's available on the business side. Automatic approvals and automatic limit increases. But you have to have the right borrower profile and the right borrower behaviors that trigger, even now in this recession, right now, these lending protocols to offer you loans and lines of credit. Now, let me tell you kind of how this works. Now, forgive me if I geek out for just a second. I know we're on the peace and we're on the peace, the heart space side of our conference today. But here's how the insiders are thinking about this. I've had the pleasure over the last 3 years to go to 3 FICO worlds. Now, FICO is important to you because FICO makes the rules and inspires lender underwriting software to approve you. If you don't know what FICO is doing, it's not just the 3-digit credit score. FICO actually designs the software for you to get approvals. So I'm at FICO World. I'm in a class. It's called Next Recession Prepping. This was last November. Weird. I didn't know that a world health pandemic was going to cause the next recession, but here we are. And you know what they said in this? Sally Taylor gave this presentations to the CEOs, and I'm a CEO, and all of a sudden I'm in with all of these lender CEOs and all of these huge bank CEOs, and she introduced what was called the FICO Score Stress Indicator. Now it's just gobbledygook that says technobabble that says that there's not just your FICO score, but there's an overlay. Think of it as a skin or a filter where the lenders know how you will do in a recession based on all the other things that you have been doing over the last 3, 6, 12, 24 months. They know and give you a score. Now look, see where it's expand credit in a financial stressful situation, both personally and nationally. This stress indicator will say, oh yeah, if they have a more robust profile and behaviors, this isn't a score. I don't care about your 800 score. I don't care about your 660 score. If your profile and behaviors are more robust, that green area expands where they give you more credit. The whole thing at FICO World was designed to help lenders know who to trust while they are know who to trust during a recession. Okay, so let's go to the next one here. FICO Recession Prepping Seminar made one thing very clear. And this is the thing that you need to know more than any other thing you need to know. The decision to approve new credit or to lower a current limit or to close an account depends exclusively on those key borrower behaviors before and during a recession. So the very things that you are doing right now to protect yourself, some of them are going to inspire you or are going to inspire your lenders, and some of them are going to count against you. And whatever we do right now is going to affect us in the future for positive or negative. I mean, we all know the adage that the truth of us comes out when we're under pressure, right? Who we really are comes out under pressure. Well, lenders are watching and they're measuring every part of that. So, third secret, only certain types of entities are fundable, which means that when you clone a fundable entity, automatic underwriting software is designed to approve you. So if your business has any one of these red flag words and a red flag code, what's called an SIC code, you're automatically on a blacklist to get denied. And if you want more information, I just did a podcast that ended up on my Facebook page, Get Fundable Facebook page with Tom Hazard, Tracy's partner, where we discussed how SIC codes, they were actually manipulating the SIC codes and so that they could reject funding for even temporarily for the PPP plan and the other SBA loans. If you don't know the rules of this. So these 3 secrets, these how recession looks like you're going backwards, correct? It literally like you're going backwards. And you are while you're going backward, you're getting dynamic.
Well, I think we might have lost Merrill. He'll be back on in a second. His internet was a little shaky yesterday, so I'm sure he'll be back. There he is. I see him logging back in, and he's just logging back in.
Okay,
Hi, Merrill.
there we go. Can
You need to reshare your screen.
how do I sound? Am I warped? Oh, there we go. You got to share my screen there. And we're going to desktop. Una. And there we go. Okay. So share and desktop one. All right. How's that?
I don't see it yet.
So this, and you don't see me yet. Stop share. All right.
No. It's just slow. Like your internet's slow to where everything is. We're getting patches in and out. So why don't we do this? Kill your video for your face, and let's just bring up your slides. That may help the internet.
Can you see me?
We saw your, there we go. Recession allows you to leverage your Slingshot effect. Okay, we're back.
Okay, we're back. All right, guys. So and I don't know how much it costs. So in short, what is happening right now is actually the magic wand we need that is going to give us amazing positive results in our future lender relationships for being able to get business loans and lines of credit. It is going to be everything we do now counts 5 or 10 times more important in our fundability and our relationships than what we did even 2 months ago. So that is so that's the essence of it. So pretty cool, right? You guys good? How do we feel about what's up? All right.
Good.
Very good. So so the question for you guys then is, if you did what I'm teaching you, implement doomsday protocols, know where you are so you can know where you're going. If you align your borrower profile and your behaviors to fit lender guidelines, and you established a highly fundable business entity, could you be successful? Anybody? Is that a thing? Do you guys think you could actually be successful through what we're trying to accomplish? All right. Now, imagine what it would be like to get during a recession to get 100, 200, or 300,000 or more $1,000, because the longer we're in a recession, the more money you can actually acquire. What would that do for you? What would that do for your business? I know real estate investors are a big part of my community. Note buyers, big part. Entrepreneurs, but how many of us could use a $50,000, $100,000 business line of credit to help us promote during these very times? That is the question that we're about. How would this change your life? So, how many are excited about what we're talking about? I love this picture because, first of all, I love Jack Nicholson, but I love this picture because there is nothing more raw and pure than enthusiasm. Some people, how many of us are a little overwhelmed? I know we're talking about a financial subject that we're driving results, but how many of you feel like you're a little overwhelmed with what's up? So let's, is it okay with you if I spend just a few more minutes to offer you something that I've prepared for this summit? I've offered it for real estate investors, for entrepreneurs, but especially for our peace and and Pivot Summit. What I have is that if you can, I would love for you to join me at the 2-day summit that it's 2-day boot camp that I'll be giving. And it's the Survive, Thrive, and Prosper edition. So we're literally pivoting for our boot camp, which is a 2-day boot camp. It's going to be Saturday and Sunday, April 18th and 19th. It'll be streaming live, and this will be my 16th boot camp, but it will be the first of its kind when it comes to the crisis version, the Survive, Thrive, and Prosper edition. So I'd like to tell you a little bit about who this has worked for. First of all, it works for new entrepreneurs, new investors, brand new into, you've just left the W-2 game, the W-2 employee game, and you're out on your own. What do you need to know? Capital is always vital. It works for you. It works for experienced entrepreneurs and investors, folks who are veterans, who've been doing this for decades. Every one of us can use more the information to be able to learn what lenders need to lend to you. That's what the bootcamp is all about. It works for entrepreneurs with good credit and bad credit, or even people who believe they have great credit, because credit is, you'll learn, is not as important, and your score does not make you fundable. It doesn't. Your score is like the second or third most important thing that lenders look at. So what are the things that they're going to need from you to lend on? This works for entrepreneurs who already have a qualified fundable entity that has the right codes, the right type of entity, and it works for folks who may already have one. So what you'll be able to stop doing, and this is killer for so many people, is how would you like to have lenders stop reducing your limits or closing your accounts? What happens if you can stop having deals slip through your fingers? What about feeling that we've talked about uncertainty, right? And stress. What if you had no uncertainty, no stress about your relationship with your banks, because you knew exactly what they need to lend to you, to keep your accounts open, and for you to continue to have a better relationship and receive more money now and as we climb out of the recession? You can stop getting blacklisted by lenders because you're chasing money. Stop going out and getting inquiries. If you get turned down once, stop, because you're just screaming to lenders, I need money, I need it now, and I'm just going to chase it down like a gazelle in the Serengeti. Don't send that message. You'll be able to stop chasing money by understanding what's going on, and you'll get that at the boot camp. Stop paying an arm and a leg for your interest rates on hard money or private money or with your credit partners. So the first day, let me do a quick run through of what you're going to get each of these days. On the 18th, April 18th, we're going to be talking, you're going to learn the borrower behaviors that will get lenders to approve your accounts now. Brand new accounts, you will get those lender accounts. And then you'll be able to establish the recession-proof fundability plan and protection plans. What do you need to do to send a message to lenders that you're okay? Even if you're under stress, if you know what you're doing, you can send a positive message to your lenders. But you've got to know what that message is, and you got to know kind of what language the lenders are speaking. We get continuous updates from FICO seminars, and we have a liaison with FICO who keeps us when we ask questions or otherwise, keeps sending us product info and new white papers inside of FICO. While that's not a big deal to you, that keeps me on the cutting edge to be able to coach my clients and my teams and my students on what is changing, what is happening. We've learned so many things. Go to the Get Fundable Facebook page and just go watch the different things that we've done, our interviews. There's so many positive and powerful things that we keep getting the first word on, including this SIC code that we talked about, those codes that were kind of manipulated here to slow down the lending. of all of the SBA loans. You'll also be able to put in place fundability techniques that exist nowhere else. This is stuff that is vital, guys. It is vital. So I'm going to show you how in that same first day, show you how to make payments on accounts that report to your lenders. Exactly what to do so that you can send a better message and not spend any more money on your payments. I'm going to show you how to use these payment moratoriums. We've all seen these payment moratoriums come up and say, oh yeah, you can suspend your payments, etc. I'm going to tell you how to do those so that lenders want to lend to you later on, right? And if you do them wrong now, they don't want to lend to you because you showed your true colors during the recession, but you didn't know what true colors to show. That's what we need to talk about in this boot camp. You're going to get all of this in the boot camp. How to avoid a run on your credit. Automatic underwriting systems will track your inquiry behavior. And there are 2 insider thrive strategies that are added to this boot camp that only attendees are going to get. So this is powerful stuff. So there are amazing results. Clients who are getting approvals still right now, automatic underwriting, automatic limit increases, how to actually file automatic underwriting and get approved without leaving your workstation at home. We've been teaching people how to apply for and get approvals, get significant funding approvals, 20, 50,000. We have a dozen people who are over 500,000 in single event fundings. You guys, it still works. That bullseye, lenders don't care about a recession if you're in that bullseye. They want to lend to you because they make money when you do. So that's day one. There's day one. We have other things that we'll be covering as well about a fundable identity, how to stop looking like a consumer that lenders don't lend to, by the way, and how to look like a professional borrower that they do love to lend to, how to cut your funding time in half, how to protect your golden goose. Your personal borrower profile is the golden goose, and you've been taught up until this moment, you've been taught to abuse that goose, and lenders see that overusage of your personal profile. And as an entrepreneur, it doesn't have to be this way, guys. You don't have to be killing the goose that lays the golden eggs of business lines of credit, commercial loans, real estate loans, etc. So this entire first day by itself on my website, you go there and just get the recordings. No Q&A, no interaction with me, no nothing. Q&A is $1,997. The thing is day 2, we offer so many powerful examples of what's true business credit and what are scams and misinformation. We talk about how FICO actually has the software that we can show you the strategies that trigger these business funding approvals, how to be ready so you get your 2-minute approvals. And we spend over 2 hours through the course of the boot camp establishing exactly how fundable you are right now, not your credit score, not anything else. It's how likely you are to attract lender money today and what you can do about it. All of that is in business. It is in the second day. We evaluate your approval funding factors. Looks like a target, right? We'll get more into that. We evaluate your borrower profile. We evaluate because you can have a high quality borrower profile or a low quality profile. We'll evaluate how fundable your business is and show you ways in which you can correct if you've got the wrong codes, the wrong words in your name, etc. It's all doable, and you learn it all in the boot camp. And we can estimate your timetable to your first 20,000, 50,000, 100,000, 200, 500,000, etc. So day 2 by itself is worth every penny of the $1,997. And this $4,000, is it worth it, guys? If $3,994 and you are able to now today to support your recession proofing, if you were able to get $100, $200, $300, $500,000, would that be worth every penny of it? Absolutely. So because thanks God, because we are committed to making sure that everybody gets educated now, especially in this Peace and Pivot Summit, we're offering this for $97. Now, I know this is an amazing deal, and people tell me all the time, that's too good to be true. What's the hook? What's the catch? What's going on? Because because I see how valuable it is, and I see how much good juju and how much I could learn. So why is it $97? But like I said at the beginning of our time together, my goal here in this 60 minutes was to help each one of you see a way. And in this way, there's a light at the end of this tunnel, and it's a stronger, more profitable business now, today, and as we go through the rest of this recession and on into the future. So that's what I got, guys. That is your that is the entire what I have for making sure that you guys have what you need to create your fundability. And so I'm only supposed to show you the 97. There are other things with bonuses, but I wanted to give you the contact information. The $97 gets you access to the 2-day boot camp. Go to getfundablebootcamp.com right now. Invest in that time for you to establish the truth of your current situation and how you can turn that into more opportunity. And again, once again, I'm one of her fans. I'm quoting Michelle, but the opportunities exist in the time of recession. Use the slingshot to create more and more, to use this as that dark nurturing time of where you plant a seed, because you're going to be able to have that thing sprout and grow right now, and it will continue to bear fruit in the future. I believe that's my time. Any questions? We got
more time, Errol. Hang on, buddy.
What's that?
You got another 13, 14 minutes.
Well, let's take questions. Yep. and see what I'll keep this up on the screen over here. Can you still see the screen?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can I jump in here, Meryl?
Oh, please.
You guys, I took this boot camp May of last year, and just the stuff I learned on the first day, when I went to buy a car, I knew exactly what to say. I did it, no money down and 1% interest, because I knew exactly where to pull. I knew exactly what to tell them. And like literally I'm paying like $3,000 interest on a $57,000 car. So if you know what you're doing,
student success.
Yeah, this is the real deal.
And you guys, it's not going to change because we're in a recession. In fact, there may be even some greater, just think of the target. If you're on the bullseye, people want to lend to you because you are on the sweet spot of them being safe, giving you money. If you're out in the outer rings, some of those rings might be okay. You're going to get lower loan amounts and lower credit limits, but being on that target, it only serves you in the prosperous times. If you're in the bullseye, you can make it happen now, just like Juliet's saying. You can make it happen now and in the future, because you're sending the message that you're a professional borrower and that they want to lend to you. So those are any other questions about how I can help, or ways in which this boot camp is going to serve you today. Save your skins. I'm telling you, there's so many things being dangled out there right now. And I'm not saying do or don't. I'm saying you do not have enough information yet to know about not paying your mortgage payment, or not paying your car payment, or not paying your student loan. I'm telling you, you need to know what the ramifications are. And you still may be able to you still can do it, but you're going to do it in a way that notifies them that you are a conscientious borrower. You are a partner of theirs and you're covering their back, right? You got their back as a partner, a lending partner, rather than just saying, oh, free money, or, oh, hey, they're letting me skip a payment. Oh, if you don't do it right, you're going to give yourself a black mark on their books, because the SBA right now, guys, is not giving out the money. Banks are giving out the money and being backed by the SBA. See the difference? Banks are giving out their money and they're running you through their underwriting guidelines. And if you're stepping on funding landmines, we're just going to blow our stuff up. We're just going to blow it up. And I don't want that to happen to you. Oh, man, I can't jump up and down enough.
We got a question from Laura. She asked, if you've got an LLC that's been around for 10 years, but with one of your bad words in it, can you change the name and keep the 10-year history?
Absolutely. There's no reason to do that. There are other features of a fundable entity, but yes, Laura, you would be able to make this you'd be able to change the name, and it's not too difficult as well. Let's see. I got
a question for you, Merrill.
Keep going.
Bank of America is getting a lot of flack for only taking the new PPP applications from those that have a credit card or existing loan. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yes, happy to. So remember I talked about banking relationships. They want to lend because it's their money. The SBA, the feds are just backstopping their loans. All the lenders, it's not just Bank of America. Bank of America is just kind of arrogant about it. But Wells Fargo has done the same thing. It says it on Wells Fargo's website that you will be considered based on several criteria. See if you fit the criteria. One of it is, do you have a relationship with Wells Fargo, with Bank of America, the Celtic Bank, BB&T, PNC, all these banks, California Bank and Trust, all these banks want to lend to people that they trust. Are you seeing bullseye borrowing, guys? You've got to know that there's a difference between, in fact, I'm writing that down. That's genius. Bullseye borrowing. But that's the equivalent of being a professional borrower. So yes, you're going to get more for less if you have a relationship with them. Well, I'm going to show you in the boot camp how to build that relationship right now. And I don't know how much they're going to fund you on. I can't presume to know. What I can tell you is you'll get more consideration the higher, the more locked in on your borrower relationship with them. You will get more money. Even on the PPP, you will get more money because it's their money and they're going to underwrite the loan and they're going to determine how much to give you based on not just your application, but your relationship. So yeah, a brilliant question. Anybody else? Oh, we had Juliet. Thank you. This boot camp will blow your mind. Worth 100 times more. Thanks, Brian. Bullseye borrowing. I'm telling you guys, just come. In fact, I have some of you that are here are clients, students already, and you're just coming to see it's so moving so fast that even my clients and students are continually watching the Facebook Lives that we do because there's new intel coming out almost every day, and we're driving this. Yep, Joseph. Yep, I get it. So, any other questions? Anybody else? It came to see what else is new. Since you were on earlier with the on the podcast that was being produced or shared on Facebook Live, guys, go to the boot camp and make sure every one of you clients and students get back there for this boot camp, guys. I'm telling you, you gotta. And if you don't, make sure that you email bootcamp@getfundable.com, bootcamp@getfundable.com, so that you guys are on the list to receive the Zoom link for next Saturday and Sunday. That's next Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, so one of the big things I think is important is those that don't know where they're at is having that starting point. You guys pulling the homework beforehand is not difficult to do, but having a true image. Like I had 25 different addresses on my profile from all the properties that I've bought and moved, and that affected me derogatorily. Getting those cleaned up. You know?
Yeah, your identity. We didn't take the time to go through all it because I don't want to be so technical, but I do want to you guys to understand that you. So I'll wrap up with this, and this is probably for especially those of you who have not heard my any of my presentation, haven't seen me in presentation mode before. The greatest power transfer has occurred over the last 10 years. For 500 years, lenders have required full documentation, what I call proof docs. They've required proof documentation to verify every one of your all your data to see whether or not they will lend to you. Over the last 10 years, these lenders have empowered software, known as automatic underwriting software, to make all these lending decisions for them, because lenders lose money when a human being looks at your application, your loan, or anything else. They lose money. So, and there's less fraud when in this new automatic underwriting software. They're able to protect their money. So over the last 10 years, they've empowered the decision making, the approval authority. I don't want to get technical, the approval authority to software. So if you know what behaviors they're measuring and you know what their criteria are, who really is in charge of your funding approvals? You are. Nobody else. Nobody else. So these are the things that we're looking at, and I want to be in charge of my own funding approvals. Those funding approvals do not change for those bullseye borrowers when you're in a recession. They don't change, guys. They want to lend you money. So let's figure out how to do this together at the boot camp.
Yeah, that's great stuff. Brian on here says your financial identity is all about financial data points. That's awesome. Exactly right. And don't worry if you got some smudges or black marks on your previous history.
Matter.
There's ways to get around that.
Fundamental. We're changing the conversation from good score, bad score, high score, low score, or good credit, bad credit. Those are not what lenders look at. Yeah, if you go to at the boot camp, we discuss how it's about fundable, not fundable. And if you want, take a look at you can go to getfundablebook.com, and that will I'll buy the book if you pay for shipping. If you read that book before the boot camp, you're going to be 10x everybody else sitting in those chairs. So read the book, but go to the boot camp, because the book is about the principles. The boot camp is how to implement the strategies. They're different. And so that's a huge opportunity for you guys to create to create an awareness. So getfundablebook.com, getfundablebootcamp.com, and make sure that you guys are able to join us, because I'm telling you, this is no joke, and you can literally launch your survive and thrive now and launch your opportunities 10 times for the future. So, hey, thanks guys for sharing your time with me. This has been amazing.
Thanks for being on, Marilyn. Always adding value and really having a passion for helping those out there to pivot properly. Because there is, I mean, with this downturn, there's going to be a lot of wealth transferred in one form or fashion. Might as well go in your pocket.
Yeah.
Or the money go in your pocket so you can
I learned from Michelle Young's partner, Aaron Young. He told me, and it was beautifully said, and I want to leave this with you. I'm quoting him. There are two parties at a fire sale. There's one who is selling, and there's one who is buying. You want to be on the buying side of a fire sale, not the one who's selling. So let's make sure we have the capital, the resources, the presence of mind to be on the buying side at the fire sale. You guys have an absolutely wonderful rest of your day, weekend. I'll be checking in all weekend or on Saturday as well. And where's my bottle of, where's my wine? Where's, we got one more presentation, right? Before we start our
Yeah.
cocktail party. Yeah. All right.
You can drink right through Dom. He'll never know.
Well, I'm all in for Dom. So let's pop that cork up there. I'm talking to my producer. Her job is to make sure my wine glass is full. So, hey, and by the way, everybody who's listening, if you don't know, but these two, thank you so much for putting this together, making this happen, and thank you for coming to my boot camp, for being believers and knowing what WTF, right, about how to make this stuff work for you. So, thank you so much, guys.
Thanks, Meryl.
Thanks, Carol. Thanks for joining us.
Okay, now mute me and send me off.
All right, let's change them to attendee. All right, cool. So Don should be joining us. Let's take basically a 10-minute break, everybody, and we'll be back in about 10 minutes. Juliet, you want to make sure Dom is getting ready to log on in a couple minutes?
Yeah, I'll take care of that.